One of the unions that has filed a lawsuit challenging any layoffs amid the shutdown is the American Federation of Government Employees. It represents over 800,000 federal workers, including TSA agents, Social Security professionals, park rangers, and many more. Joining us now to talk about how these workers and you will be impacted by this shutdown is AFGE President Everett Kelly. Everett, thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Leila, for having me.
So what's the argument your union is making in its lawsuit challenging these layoff threats?
Okay, well, Leila, first of all, thank you for having me.
Thank you for being here.
Yeah, as you know, AFGE and asked me to file a lawsuit yesterday challenging the administration's threat to fire large amounts of federal employees if the government shuts down because we don't believe that he has the authority to do that. You know, that plan had nothing to do with an illegal, it's an illegal abuse of power designed to punish patriotic civil servants and, put pressure on Congress. And we're asking a judge to put a halt, to any mass firing during a government shutdown. Go ahead.
Well, yes, we heard the president threaten to do these mass firings, saying he'll cut things that the Democrats like. Which workforce do you believe will be most affected by this shutdown now that it's started?
Well, I think it's going to be evenly distributed across the board. And then, too, it's so hard to say with this administration, they're calling this a shutdown, but in actuality, this is a employee lockout. These employees are being locked out of their job. They want to go to work, but they are told that they can't go to work, and, they may use a pretty word, but it's still a lockout. So, but it's going to affect, it could affect any number of employees in any agency. That's the thing about it. At this point, they've not even given us implementation plan. Prior to this, we would at least have some implementation plan. There will be some discussions, and there's been nothing. It's been crickets.
Oh, really? So what does that mean for implementing the shutdown?
Got nothing.
What does this mean for Americans? How will the American public feel the shutdown around services and things like that?
Well, I think that, Americans are going to begin to feel, lags in their benefits. There could be delays in filing beneficiary claims. There could be delays in receiving their beneficiaries' payments. It could be, long lines at the airports. I mean, any number of things, veterans coming to receive services could be affected by that. It's a lot of things that is going to occur because of these actions, so I'm encouraging, the Congress to do their job, to figure out, get in the room, shut the door, figure out a way to get the American people what they deserve, and that is put the federal workforce back to work so they can provide the services for the American people.
Are there any safety nets in place for services that are deemed absolutely necessary?
Well, the thing is, eventually, these employees will get paid, the federal employees eventually, but, 65% already work from paycheck to paycheck. So, anytime that they're missing a paycheck could be detrimental to those employees.
Everett Kelly is the president for the American Federation of Government Employees. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Even if Congress reaches a deal to avoid a shutdown, which seems unlikely at the moment, tens of thousands of federal workers will be off the government payroll after today. We're talking about the people who took the Trump administration's fork-in-the-road buyout offer earlier this year. NPR's Andrea Hsu met with one of them.
Stephanie C.O.W.S sat down to share some thoughts in the kitchen of her suburban townhome about half an hour outside Washington, D.C. She's got a pot of Moroccan tea on the stove. Her kids' artwork adorns the walls. And from inside a closet, she pulls out a memento of happier times.
This was my Solutions-Oriented Award.
A coin from her former employer, the U.S. Department of Agriculture.
I was an instructional systems specialist for the USDA's Food Safety and Inspection Service.
Translation, she managed training for the part of USDA that oversees meat, poultry, and eggs.
We send inspectors into all of the meat packing plants across the country and make sure that our food is safe to eat. You know, I've learned so much about all of the horrible ways you can die from infected meat. And they're out here doing a thankless job every single day.
C.O.W.S joined USDA in 2020 after serving as a medic in the Air National Guard and as a public school teacher, among other roles. She was proud to be doing essential work for the country, even if it was fairly invisible. She says people only pay attention when something goes wrong.
Most of the time, you know, you open up a pack of hot dogs, you eat it, and you're fine, so you don't hear about us.
As part of her job, she made sure inspectors got training on things like how to take samples and get them off to a lab. Important stuff. Still, from the day President Trump was reelected, C.O.W.S felt uneasy. She had heard him rail about waste and bloat in the government. She feared her office would become a target.
Training is often a first thing to go.
And yet, C.O.W.S did not take the Trump administration's first offer to resign with pay and benefits through September. She thought it looked shady. But in the weeks that followed, there were rumors and memos foreshadowing big changes ahead, mass layoffs, relocations, and more.
It might be that we're moving people out. It might be that you could be busted down by 2 grades, you know, and I'm not moving to Kansas.
It was a non-starter, given her whole extended family lives around D.C. So when her agency offered a second round of buyouts, C.O.W.S took it. Her last day at work was April 18th. Since then, for 5.5 months, she's gotten her full pay and benefits, including health care for her family. She describes it as goodness coming from a terribly depressing place.
You know, I have, for the first time in my entire human life, been able to just live. I'm able to just breathe, and it's a new kind of feeling that I've never experienced before.
Back in the spring, President Trump called the buyout a very generous offer. I asked C.O.W.S, does she think she got a fair deal?
Yeah, it was a fair deal. I do think it was a fair deal. For me, as an individual, for the American people, no, they got robbed.
After she went on paid leave, C.O.W.S says her whole office was dismantled. Remaining colleagues have scattered to different places. She worries without the dedicated focus on training, problems will surface, mistakes will be made. What's more, she senses federal workers now live in fear and are reluctant to speak out about their concerns.
I love my country. You know, being critical of my country, that's showing love. If I didn't love and didn't care, I would let you act like a damn fool. That's what makes this more hurtful. And it's you have to be able to say something. And if you can't say anything, you're lost.
C.O.W.S says she only feels okay about speaking out now because she doesn't have a job. It's not for lack of trying. The market is saturated with former feds. And at 40, she's gotten very few interviews despite her skills and experience. And even though she's been applying to jobs nonstop.
Literally hundreds of jobs. And it's just no thank you, no thank you, no thank you, no thank you, no thank you.
So for now, she's launched her own consulting business. She has 1 contract so far. She's also going back to school to get a PhD. She hasn't abandoned her dream of leading training across the agriculture department one day. These days, she's thinking a lot about those who remain in government and what they are enduring.
It is much more than anything that they've ever had to endure before.
She wants them to know she stands with them and hopes the broader public will too. Andrea Hsu, NPR News.
The Trump administration is using the shutdown as a political threat to slash the federal workforce. That is after similar efforts from its Department of Government Efficiency effort, which, as you all remember, started back in January. 8 months later, a new NPR analysis finds that the claims that DOGE made about savings and efficiency just haven't panned out. NPR's Stephen Fowler is part of the reporting team focused on government restructuring and joins us now. Hi, Stephen.
Hey there.
Hey, okay, so we just wrapped up a fiscal year. That is the deadline that DOGE supporters like Elon Musk gave for when they would cut, $1 trillion in federal spending? How's that going?
Well, DOGE hasn't really delivered on any of its core promises. The tracking website that lists claims of savings from things like canceling contracts and terminating leases has been full of errors and exaggerations and unverifiable information from the start. That $1 trillion in savings never appeared. In fact, Treasury data actually shows federal spending has increased by hundreds of billions of dollars over last fiscal year.
Oh, spending is up? Do we know why?
Well, Elsa, most of the federal government's budget goes towards mandatory spending on things like debt service, healthcare, and entitlement programs like Social Security.
Right.
And any big cuts would, as such, have to come from Congress, who's not been that interested in touching those popular programs. And due to Trump's signature law passed this summer, the nation's total debt is expected to dramatically increase in the next 10 years as well. It's also worth noting, after all the push to fire federal workers and get others to leave, we've heard from agencies that have been hiring back hundreds of workers as they struggle to do basic tasks and carry out President Trump's agenda.
Okay, but those workers are starting this fiscal year with the government shut down. So do you think the White House is looking to use this pause in funding to fire even more federal workers? Like, what's going on here?
Well, the Trump administration's arguing that a prolonged government shutdown is an excuse to fire workers deemed non-essential that are being furloughed. The Office of Management and Budget told agencies they should issue reduction in force notices to employees that aren't essential to the president's priorities at this time. Here's Vice President Vance today.
Because we are in a government shutdown, we are going to have to lay some people off if the shutdown continues. We don't like that. We don't necessarily want to do it, but we're going to do what we have to keep the American people's essential services continuing to run.
That's not how shutdowns work. The essential services continue no matter what, and both those working and those furloughed will get paid once the government reopens. Now, the RIF process is complicated. There's procedures that require a lot of time and preparation, notice to complete, and federal unions have sued, arguing that those threats to fire people are against the law.
Well, Stephen, I have to ask, because this isn't the first time an administration has tried and failed to cut spending. It's also not the first time political fights have led to a government shutdown. But do you think that there is anything different about the way the Trump administration has gone about things this time around?
Yes, there's been a surprisingly partisan messaging coming from official government communications around the shutdown. Experts say that could violate ethics laws meant to keep partisan politics out of day-to-day governing.
And when you say partisan messaging, what exactly does that mean?
Well, things like the Housing and Urban Development homepage saying the, quote, radical left was going to shut down the government, and a memo from the Office of Management and Budget sent to federal workers that said any lapse in government funding would be, quote, forced by congressional Democrats. It's worth noting any investigation into those efforts, and if they violate the Hatch Act, would go to the Office of Special Counsel, one of many watchdog agencies that President Trump fired to leadership and sought to limit its power.
That is NPR's Stephen Fowler. Thank you, Stephen.
Thank you.
It's Morning Edition from NPR News. I'm E. Martinez in Los Angeles, California.
And I'm Leila Fadil in Washington, D.C., where Republicans and Democrats could not agree on a plan to fund the government.
Democrats have pushed to include extensions of health care subsidies in the spending bill. Republicans say they're open to negotiations only after a bill is passed.
What does the shutdown mean for the more than 2 million civilian federal workers in the country?
For more, we're joined by NPR's Andrea Hsu. So first off, what does the shutdown mean for the services people get from the government?
Yeah, well, even during a shutdown, some things do carry on. For example, your mail will still be delivered. Retirees will still get their Social Security checks. And if you go to the airport, you'll still see the TSA officers at the security checkpoints. And the Trump administration has made clear Border Patrol and Immigration and Customs Enforcement officers will remain on the job. But many, many more federal employees will not be working Typically, people are given up to half a day to close down their computers and do whatever else needs to be done for an orderly shutdown.
And they're not getting paid.
That's right. And even most essential workers who are working won't be paid during the shutdown. This became a problem last time in late 2018, early 2019, when the government was shut down for those 35 days. After a while, you had TSA officers calling out sick because, some people just can't go that long without a paycheck. Now, Congress did pass a law in 2019 mandating that federal employees get back pay once a shutdown is over. But this time, as you said, there have been threats from the White House that many federal workers could be outright fired during this shutdown.
Yeah, tell us more about that.
Yeah, well, last week, the White House Office of Management and Budget told federal agencies they should consider issuing reduction in force or RIF notices to employees who are working on things that aren't consistent with the president's priorities, meaning they would not be brought back when the government reopens. But even if some agencies opt to do this, it doesn't mean people are going to be fired today or tomorrow necessarily. There are really complicated procedures for conducting RIFs. Federal statute requires that the government workers be given 60 days notice, for one thing. The White House has said that the staff handling RIFs are allowed to work through the shutdown, so it's possible we could see some notices go out.
Now, what are you hearing from federal employees about, possibly being fired and then not brought back to work?
Yeah, well, yesterday, unions representing federal employees filed a lawsuit over this. They called the threats of mass layoffs during the shutdown an unlawful abuse of power by the Trump administration. They said it was aimed at punishing workers and pressuring Democrats in Congress to essentially cave. Now, the White House did not respond to our request for comment about this lawsuit. Meanwhile, you have some federal employees saying this threat of being laid off at any moment, that this is nothing new. Jenna Norton, a scientist with the National Institutes of Health, talked about this at a press conference on Monday. She was among several feds who spoke in their personal capacity, and here's what she said.
As a federal worker, I am here to tell you that every awful thing that would happen in a shutdown, shuttering programs that Americans rely on, damaging our economy, firing federal workers, all of this is already happening.
And there have been numerous lawsuits challenging all those things, firings, dismantling of programs and whole agencies. And while lower courts have temporarily paused many of those actions, the Supreme Court has in multiple instances allowed the Trump administration to move forward, at least for now.
How will we know if there are indeed mass firings?
Well, I suspect we'd hear from employees themselves, but also federal agencies are required to notify labor unions and states ahead of mass layoffs. The Trump administration has not always followed these rules, but they might do so this time.
That's NPR's Andrea Hsu. Thanks a lot, Andrea.
You're welcome.
This summer, Congress gave Immigration and Customs Enforcement more than $70 billion. Part of that money is to hire 10,000 more ICE officers by the end of the year. Last week, DHS held a career expo to recruit candidates. NPR immigration policy reporter Jimena Bustillo was there.
Over the course of 2 sunny days, over 1,000 people trickled into the Utah Valley Convention Center in downtown Provo, Utah. They came from all over the country, and many came hoping to apply for one role.
Deportation officer with ICE.
ICE deportation officer. I don't think I'd qualify for a whole lot else.
Deportation officer.
When you think about the role of deportation officer, what do you hope you get to do in that position?
Deport,
That was Johnny from Oregon, Josh from Idaho, and Peter from Arkansas, all who asked that NPR not use their last name because of fear of reprisals from the agency. The Trump administration wants to deport 1 million people annually and has launched a big recruitment campaign to hire more people to meet that goal. And some of their promotions have worked, like bringing on actor Dean Cain, star of the 90s TV show Lois and Clark, as an honorary officer.
I saw that the guy that played Superman on the TV series so many years ago, he's like, I'm going to go be an agent. They lifted the age, and I told my husband, and he's like, oh my gosh.
That's Ana Maria Vargas from Arizona. She's 52, and like many at the expo, came because ICE lifted the age limit.
So a lot of us still have a lot of energy. We have a lot of love for our country. We want to serve. We just don't know how to get our foot in the door.
Many applicants said they supported President Trump and his goal of mass deportations. Others wanted a second chance at a federal government job. Cheryl Pyatt came to the expo from Georgia looking for a job at the U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services investigating fraud. She worked for the federal government for about a decade. She was most recently an employee at DHS, and she lost her job during recent cuts. She did receive some severance,
which has been able to bide me over until now, but I do need a job. So I'm definitely looking outside of the government, but when you have that much time invested, and then, I was working towards retirement and all those things.
Others, like veteran Alan Richardson, said immigration enforcement was a way to continue serving the country.
Well, I want to go back into federal service so I can buy back my military time and retire earlier.
Richardson said he was not conflicted about ICE's role.
If your employer says you got to do something, you got to go do it. But, I think going after the criminals is the goal here. There's no way you're going to deport however many millions of people that are here illegally.
Over 370 people received initial job offers from ICE during the expo. Not everyone is impressed with those numbers. R.J. Hallman from the Conservative Heritage Foundation said DHS should focus instead on training and retaining employees who can carry out the administration's goals over the next several years.
Rather than doing ads that ICE is hiring, or again, all these, on-site job fairs, let's start hammering out more facilities to train these potential agents and streamline the vetting, the background checks. Make sure you get the right people, you don't make a mistake.
Don't do it! Don't do it! Don't join ICE!
Back at the expo, a scattered group of protesters heckled applicants regardless of if they were applying for ICE or not. That did not seem to deter those who wanted a job, but not all came with a specific goal. I spoke to Terry Rhodes, who said he applied after conservative activist Charlie Kirk was fatally shot just a short drive away. He said he wanted to do something.
Whatever I can do.
What do you feel like needs to be done?
We need to go focus back. Honestly, we need to focus on our families and God and loving other people.
Mm-hmm. And what about the ERO role of deportation officer? Do you think helps you do that?
Probably doesn't. I don't know.
Jimena Bustillo, NPR News, Provo, Utah.
Moving on, over a month after Tata Consultancy Services announced cutting over 12,000 jobs, another IT major has followed suit. This time it is Accenture, one of the largest employers in the Indian IT sector. Accenture has confirmed that more than 11,000 employees have been let go in the past 3 months alone. The company says it is exiting employees who can't be retrained for the era of artificial intelligence, even as it plans to hire again in the next fiscal year. On an earnings call, Accenture CEO Julie Sweet said that the company is moving on a quote-unquote compressed timeline, letting go of people where upskilling is not viable. At the same time, she said the focus is on rapidly rotating talent into new AI roles. With more than 300,000 staff in India, Accenture is a pillar of the country's IT services sector. The company has also unveiled 2 divestment plans, projecting over $1 billion in savings. The cuts come in the shadow of TCS, India's biggest IT employer, which announced in August that it would let go of over 12,000 or 2% of its employees. But multiple reports and employee testimonies have cast doubt on that figure. A viral post on social media claimed that as many as 80,000 TCS employees may have been pushed out since the start of the year, with severance packages varying wildly. TCS responded, calling its speculation incorrect and misleading, insisting the impact is limited to just 2% of its workforce. Yet on the ground, stories of forced resignations, short notices, and even alleged harassment continue to surface. IT unions continue to voice criticism, warning that the real scale of layoffs is being masked by voluntary resignation pressures. One union estimates the number could be well above 30,000. Experts say what is happening at TCS and Accenture is just the beginning, and that the worst is yet to come. Industry analysts warn that thousands of IT jobs could be at risk in the next 2 to 3 years, particularly among mid-level managers, testers and infrastructure staff. Accenture, meanwhile, is pushing hard into artificial intelligence. It says it has doubled its AI and data specialists to 77,000 since 2023 and trained more than 500,000 employees in generative AI. The emphasis on artificial intelligence follows a global trend. In recent times, Meta, Microsoft and other tech giants have also cut thousands of roles while channeling investment into AI-driven positions. The message to white-collar professionals is stark: adapt to AI or risk losing jobs. For an industry that's helped build India's middle class and contributes over 7% to the country's GDP, the transition to AI seems to be unsettling. TCS, Adventure, Accenture and others are making it clear. Adapting to AI is now a necessity and not a choice.
Following President Donald Trump's announcement of a staggering $100,000 fee for H-1B visas, many Indian tech workers rushed to return to the United States. During this rush, far-right online groups launched a coordinated campaign called Clog the Toilet, attempting to overload airline booking systems and block flights. Trolls on platforms like 4chan and Telegram held seats without completing purchases, making booking even more difficult and inflating fares. The campaign targeted busy routes to cities like New York, Newark, and Dallas, affecting H-1B visa holders trying to return. Our next report brings you more.
And we're going to be able to keep people in our country that are going to be very productive people.
Following President Donald Trump's announcement of a $100,000 fee for H-1B visas, a far-right online campaign emerged to deliberately disrupt flights from India to the United States. The operation, dubbed Clog the Toilet, aimed to prevent Indian visa holders from returning to the US on time. The rush began after Trump's announcement on September the 21st. Many Indian tech workers worried about the new fee and, without wasting time, rushed to book flights to return to the US. The fee was later clarified by the White House as only applicable to new H-1B petitions and not current holders.
The country would rather not have to pay $100,000, but they'd rather, how do you do that? You hire Americans. So there's an incentive to hire American. But there may be instances where it's better off doing it through expertise or whatever it may be. But they're both unbelievable, whether it's a gold card or anything else that we talked about today.
The campaign was coordinated on forums like 4chan, Telegram and other far-right platforms. Trolls encouraged each other to search for popular India-US flights and start the checkout process without purchasing tickets. This temporarily blocked seats, making it difficult for passengers to book. Once the hold expired, they repeated the process, keeping flights effectively unavailable and pushing ticket prices higher. The operation targeted high-demand routes, particularly flights to cities such as New York, Newark and Dallas. One 4chan user even allegedly created automated scripts to overbook Indian flights, while another claimed to be clogging the last available seat on a Delhi to Newark flight. The stated goal was clear: keep Indians in India and create panic among visa holders. Despite the online campaign, airline operations remain largely unaffected. However, individual travellers did face difficulties. Some users reported repeated crashes on booking platforms, slow page loads and timeout errors, forcing them to pay significantly higher fares for last-minute tickets. Experts warn that the campaign illustrates how far-right groups can weaponize online platforms to target specific communities.
The trolling was an attempt to cause panic among H-1B visa holders. The real scary thing about 4chan is its ability to radicalize people into extremist beliefs.
H-1B visas allow US companies to sponsor foreign workers in specialized fields, including technology, science and engineering. The program grants up to 85,000 visas per year, with roughly three-quarters going to Indian nationals. Following Trump's announcement, several major tech firms, including Microsoft, Amazon, Meta and JP Morgan, advised employees abroad to return immediately to avoid potential issues. While the White House later clarified that the $100,000 fee only affected new H-1B visa petitions, the incident exposed vulnerabilities in the online booking system and highlighted the real-world consequences of misinformation and targeted online harassment campaigns. The episode also underscores the intersection on immigration policy, technology and online extremism, showing how quickly panic can spread and how coordinated online actions can have tangible effects on everyday lives.
Operation Clog the Toilet. Ignorant about, I guess some of them, they might be on 4chan. You think some of them, they might be federal employees. They've been furloughed. Government shut down, so they got a little bit more free time on their hands, and they upset. Take it out. No count. Dark people. Clog the toilet. Global system of white supremacy. How are you going to be ignorant about racism and get on 4chan? We're going to clog up all the flights. Dark people won't be able to get back over here. Ooh. Don't you get in trouble with that? You messing with, don't the Delta people, all the airlines, don't they get upset about that? Charge you racking up fees and messing up the booking and all the rest of it and pretending to take flights that you're not going to take. You don't get in trouble for that? They don't charge you for that, I would think. They don't do nothing. They don't. What does it mean to be white? Context of White Supremacy. The worthless Negro from Virginia. Gus T. in for another broadcast, hopefully to share constructive information on the global system of white supremacy. Information for non-white people victims of racism. Today's date, Thursday, October 2, 2025. So I have been told. The system of white supremacy does not shut down. In fact, Fuller told us the government is the system of white supremacy. Now, they might say we have a so-called shutdown. Racist man, racist woman, they do not sleep, they do not rest, they do not take vacations. Ain't no shutdown. If we have non-white listeners for today's broadcast, for sure, Neutralizing Workplace Racism, not for spectators. If we have any employees, if you've been directly, indirectly impacted by the shutdown, let us know. Even that, I think they said it in the first clip that we played, for an entire calendar year. I know I'm cheating us out of November and December, but I mean, for an entire calendar year, we're going to fire you. You got a federal job. Ooh, we going to get you. Ooh, ooh, ooh. For an entire calendar year. Started with DOGE, they said. Old brother Elon. And now we get all the way out trick-or-treat time. And well, we got to shut down. We might have to furlough and lay off and give you an old RIF notice that, as a matter of fact, you've been shiftless and wasting time anyway. Don't even bother coming back. Get on out of here. Wow. Now, I will say again, I'm sure there are people classified as white who have been stressed, federal workers, wherever they happen to be. I don't want to move. I don't want to relocate. I like my job, all the rest of it. I'm sure that is true. Individuals classified as white are doing way better in the midst of all of this than the non-white people, and it's not even close. We just heard that report. They were talking about the epidemic of black females who've been harmed by all of this confusion and disruption in federal employment. Now, Leroy, privileged black males, we do so well, they didn't even include us in the report. So I guess they don't, hire black males to begin with for federal jobs. But man, an entire year of chaos and, ooh, we gonna be fired. Ooh, we gonna be shut down. Ooh, are we gonna get back pay if, you're on the shutdown? Like, oh, man, that right there, Dr. Frances Cress Welsing in Washington, D.C. So I'm sure she worked with a lot of federal employees. Not that all the federal employees are in D.C., but I mean, certainly you got a chunky load there. But she used to say all the time, she worked with, counseled black people who were talking about all the racism and what have you, upheaval that they experienced on their job. This would for sure count. And this would be another illustration why, if you are classified as black in a system of white supremacy racism, we cannot qualify for mental health. How could you possibly? You wake up any day, any reason, and be fired? Any time, any way, anyhow, and be fired? Come on. Any hoodles. If we have employees, federal employees have been impacted and the shutdown and any of it, or even, thinking, man, does this mess us over? We gonna be, let us know how you are dealing with all of this. The number 720-716-7300. The code 564-943 pound. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. Number again, 720-716-7300. The code 564-943 pound. Press star 61 if you would like to share. The email untiljustice@gmail.com. untiljustice@gmail.com. gmail.com. If you want to stay anonymous, maybe you have a recognizable voice, you can drop us an email. That way you can share your commentary, questions. Let us know. Again, not for spectators. Certainly, if you have figured out some things that work well, so you don't have to be overly stressed and concerned about the furlough or being fired, underpaid. But as always, if you have problems, concerns in the workplace, we will do our best to use logic, solve problems without creating new problems. Pretty much all of the reports, to varying degrees, related to varying levels of the so-called government shutdown, how this is impacting federal employees. Actually, the first report, this is not the first report that we heard, but the first report I'm going to skip to, this is the one where they were talking about federal workers who took President Trump's buyout as opposed to being fired, and we'll just figure it out. So if you want to look, the person that they spoke with, Stephanie Cherukui, I guess it's Cherukui, Cherkaoui. Stephanie Cherukui, I think that's it. And Stephanie is Stephaani. Stephanie Cherukui. Now, when I saw her, and even for additional context, so at the very beginning, they say Stephanie Cherukui has a pot of Moroccan tea on the kitchen stove in her townhome half an hour outside of Washington, D.C. Now, I'm sure, or I suspect maybe a lot of people maybe have heard of or sipped a bit of Moroccan tea from time to time, but just that in addition with the picture of her, even though this is an audio report, but they have a picture of her, she looks definitely not white. Definitely. I don't know if this is a pretend black person. Maybe she has a white parent. Maybe she's born overseas. I don't know. But definitely not white. And then she's sipping on old African Negro tea. I don't think this is a white person. Maybe racially ambiguous, but I would bet the same scenario. All the niggers are going into the oven right now. I would not waste any time talking to her about anything because she is going in the oven. She is not white. In my view, I would be stunned in anywhere, any world, any time that she could be accepted as a white person for any reason. That said, they were talking to her. She's one of the people that took a buyout. She was a federal employee, and she U.S. Department of Agriculture. I was thinking U.S. Department of Agriculture because we talked about that so many times. Different racists who've worked in that administration and messed over black people. At any rate, she took the buyout the second time around, and she talked about how this for me was the correct decision. I didn't want to move to Kansas and have my life totally upended and all the rest of it. Got it. No problem there. Makes sense, right? She gets later on in the report and she says, this is Cherukui speaking, she says she only feels okay about speaking out now about how you should be able to have free speech and say what you want to and make criticisms of your so-called country if you like and blah, blah, blah. She only feels okay speaking out now because she doesn't have a job. It's not for lack of trying. The market is saturated with former federal employees, and at 40 she's gotten very few interviews despite her skills and experience, and even though she's been applying to jobs non-stop. Cherukui, literally hundreds of jobs, and it's just no thank you, no thank you, no thank you, no thank you, no thank you. It says that like 4 or 5 times. So one, we've heard this before, right? Could be ageism, right? Since she's 40, she's not the just graduated, what have you, and plus you got federal experience, so we might have to pay you a little bit more. So yeah, no thank you, no thank you, no thank you. And even I said this is I think non-white person. I've said white sacrifice. Oh, excuse me, not white sacrifice, but I just said, hey, I think non-white people are going to be way more impacted by this. We already heard the report. I said this is non-white female, where they were talking about black females being devastated. High numbers of unemployment, and it just keeps going up. I don't know if she's classified as black, but I think she's a non-white female, Stephanie Cherukui. That right there. And then, I said white people don't get fired, they get transferred. If you are a white person, federal employee, I'm sure that they have some white sacrifice in there and they didn't get a job, or they didn't, whatever the case, or maybe it took them longer to get a job. But, oh man, I suspect for non-white people, especially if you're classified as black, it's going to be way more difficult for you to get a job, especially to get a job of equal salary, maybe even to get a job in the same field, that sort of thing. It'll be exactly what she talked about. I've applied, and I suspect that's probably not hyperbole. I have applied to 100 jobs. No, thank you. No, thank. She didn't even say she was getting interviews. And you got all that experience. I'm sure that she got all kinds of skills, training, know-how. Being a federal in the U.S. Department of Agriculture, I'm sure you have some skills that would transfer. Nah. System of white supremacy, and I would talk to your offspring about that, because easily, that's the same thing I've been saying. She didn't say she did anything incorrect, that she was an incompetent employee, she didn't show up on time, that she went in propping her feet up on the desk talking about counter racism. She didn't say any of that. I said consistently, you can be a totally competent, punctual, valued employee and get fired for no reason. That's the system of white supremacy, and it might be more of that coming. Be honest about that. Tell your offspring about that and prep for that. Not doing a whole lot of reckless spending and keeping that resume updated. Let's see. The report on... I'm kind of jumping around because it was all kind of related to the same thing in terms of the government shutdown. In terms of where they are hiring now, I don't know if Ms. Cherikou, did she apply for ICE? They've had a number of reports talking about that over the past few weeks or so. ICE recruitment. They might be having government shutdown and all the rest of it, but ICE does not shut down. Unless I've been misinformed, isn't ICE part of Department of Homeland Security? Genie, Irritated Genie, does he have any info? Anybody want to work with ICE? Can he help get you inside track if you want to get a job? Work with DHS. Just asking. I don't want an ICE job. I'm just asking. Maybe he can get you inside track so you can work at Alligator Alcatraz. Isn't that it? If you get a job at ICE, could you work at Alligator Alcatraz? That's what they're talking about, right? Different facilities like the one in Louisiana we talked about before. You could go work there, right? Man, I don't know. That you fill out 100 applications, you submit and submit and submit it. No, thank you. No, thank you. Or what? They ghost you. You don't even hear back. Maybe you got children to feed and bills to pay and all the rest of it. Maybe I say, man, that's a government job too, man. They canceling government jobs left and right and got the benefits and all that. And look like I might get 110 or 120 no thank yous if they even bother to call me or message me back. Oof, I don't know. I might have to take the ICE things. And they get that rhetoric so nice. They say, well, we got these criminals we got to get rid of. You mean like Tyler Robinson? No. I mean, the people are not supposed to be here. Got these no-count criminals and such. They had told us the report that we heard before that they had a whole lot of so-called Hispanics working at ICE. Now, I don't know if they have job fairs where they offer these employment opportunities to black people, but man, have any of you all seen this? Do we have any people classified as black? Have you went out and done the interview to work at ICE? They said they lifted the age requirements and everything. They sound like the military. Like we not getting our numbers. We're gonna have to do. Did they have the weight requirement there too? Are they struggling because people ate too many donuts, so you can't go and get you a horse and a whip and throw Gomez and such back over to Tijuana? That one might be another one where I might say the white genetic annihilation. You got to you don't have enough young 19, 20-year-old white people. They could go out and start their career in ICE. You don't have enough. Whew. Is that another one where you're going to have to go and get folks to get them visas and come over here and you're going to have to get a visa and come over here and work for ICE? Have to go to India and Pakistan because you don't have enough white people? Whew, man. They talked about the H-1 visa program and how President Trump said make it super expensive. He said this will encourage employers hire Americans. I suspect he means white people born in this part of the world. He means hire Americans. Don't be bringing Gomez and these Indian folks, the rest of the people over there. He said, now, it might be special circumstances where you have special skill set and such. I don't know. They've been talking about the reading and math scores dropping in this part of the world. Like, man, it might be hard to find people who have that skill set here. Like, oh, they done shot up all the schools and things. Like, it might be tough to find folks who have those skill sets. Just saying. So they're going to make it real expensive for people to get these visas, non-white people, I suspect, to get these visas and come over here, see if they maybe discourage companies from paying for them. And then that's on the one level. And then on the other level, they say, oh, man, we got our cronies, the rest of our race soldier white people say, man, forget that. I already told you we're going to clog up all the flights and all the rest of it, see if we can't make it difficult. Non-white people, even if they already got the visa, we're going to make it difficult for them to get over here or to get back over here. Yeah, clog it up and make it more expensive. What does it mean to be white, and especially white in the workforce? And even with all that, I would submit all of that is white genetic annihilation. One, white people are going to need more of these H-1 visas, folks, because you don't even have enough white people to do all the ICE jobs. How are you going to get all these smart jobs where you need people who have all kinds of niche intelligence, where they went to school for lots of years and all that? Where are you going to get all that from? You don't have enough white people to do ICE jobs. You certainly are not going to have enough white people to be engineers and doctors and all the rest of it. You're going to be mad about that on the what? And then even sabotage that. And then on the other end, sit around and whine and complain. Man, we don't have enough ICE agents. Man, what y'all going to do to get Felipe out of here? Man. Same thing they do with the lettuce, really, all that hypocrisy and lying. When I mean with the lettuce, they'll sit up and say, we got all these same thing. We got all these dark people and immigrants and then they'll come back and say, man, I sure hope they get these ghost pumpkins out the ground. Who going to get the pumpkins out the ground? Oh. Why don't you give them the visa? So that, nah, we don't want to do that. Lie. Now, I said before, they love that. Get non-white people so that you're vulnerable. Same thing with the government employees, so you can be vulnerable, scared. Are they going to round us up? Are they going to cancel our visa? Oh, my goodness. Are we going to be able to get a flight? Oh, my goodness. Oh, I'm so nervous. Oh, I can't even eat. They love to keep us in that frame of mind, that state of dis-ease. Let's see. And then Brayson from more layoffs says, so many with the government. I feel like I missed the first one where they were talking about the DOGE shutdowns at the beginning of the year, but I mean, everything was about the government shutdown, and we might even have listeners who are experiencing that directly, indirectly themselves. So we'll pause there with the opening reports. The number again, 720-716-7300, the code 564-943 pound. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. The email untiljustice@gmail.com. This would be another one I would not be discussing in the workplace. Same thing I say about, anything controversial, politics, and all the rest. We're not talking about Charlie Kirk in the workplace. We're certainly not talking about the shutdown. And oh my goodness, how long do you think is that? None of that. Not even if you work with other black people. Everyone is entitled to their opinion. You have no idea what their stance on this is going to be. You can just listen And then hopefully we'll get through it all right. Everybody will be okay or whatever. But it would be, I have no comment. I'm not discussing this in the workplace. And if other people try to goad you into saying something, you can give them the I don't discuss politics in the workplace. You can even think of your own. I just hope we can get through this all right. And that's all anyone ever hears you say about all of it. But no discussing politics in the workplace, even with other non-white people. I wouldn't even be overheard, like on the phone or anything, talking about all of this with, your mom or someone else who's not in the work. Take that phone call outside, talk to them later. No talking about politics in the workplace. I guess all this tackiness kind of overshadowed. Thankfully, I can say, Rick, right quick, this tackiness overshadowed, it's trick-or-treat month. I just mentioned the ghost pumpkins. I started seeing those tacky decorations. Man, if anything, we got to sit here and bite our nails and, we going to be fired and, we going to be furloughed. That right there. Ain't no reason to do no trick-or-treating or nothing. I can't afford no Snickers. I don't even know if I'm going to have a paycheck next week. So, no, I'm not doing man, thank you, Trump. I would use this load up for the entire holiday season. I'm not doing white elephant. I'm not doing no gift exchanges. I'm not even doing the Christmas party because this has so jangled my nerves. And I'm not joking. This is exactly the way I would explain it. I didn't even know if we're going to get a paycheck. No, I'm not doing happy hour. I can't even afford lemon water. That's free, ain't it? I can't even afford that. I'm not doing no white elephant. I'm not doing no gift exchanges. I'm not doing no dinner parties, no potlucks, no nothing. I'm eating peanut butter sandwiches every day. I'm broke and saving every nickel I got. Did you see the government shutdown? That's exactly how I would explain it, and I would dare anybody to tell me, what do you mean? Cut that out, old Gussie Poo. Come on, we're going to go to the thing. You got an extra nickel to spare. Come on now. You get what? We just getting I don't even know if I'm going to get my back pay. And that would be one. I'm not doing nothing. Trick or treat, Thanksgiving, nothing for the holiday season. And you can chalk all that up. The layoff. Got to be frugal. The layoff. The shutdown. Save my pennies. But yeah, definitely no Halloween. Like, we got serious things to think about. I ain't got no goblins and spooks and Snicker bars on my mind now. Folks who dialed in with a hand up, *61, let's hear.
Hello?
Yes, ma'am.
Can I be heard?
Z's mommy. Yes, ma'am.
Greetings. Let's see. I wanted to talk about all of the incorrect and racist experiences I've been having while on this construction site for the past 5 months now. If I talk for too long, please feel free to interrupt me and let me know. So the first incident was, this was when I was first at the site. It was quite a long time ago, maybe May or June. This was in a different state, but it was a similar project. I was up on the walk-on ceiling, and there was a welder there, and I think one of my coworkers had reprimanded him. And afterwards, he came up to me. He was, I guess you would call him non-white, non-black, Latino, I think. He came up to me and he said, "Hey, you." And I was like, "Hello, yes." And he said, "You know those people who walk around downstairs?" And I said, "What people?" And he said, "Those people, the ones, you know who I'm talking about, the ones that are your color, the ones that have the color like you." And I was like, "I don't know what you're talking about." And he said, "You know what I'm talking about, those people who look like you. Why don't they get better jobs? Why are they just over here working as cleaners? They're able-bodied and they're young. They should be like me, become a welder or become an electrician. Why do they want to do these jobs like cleaners?" And I just said, "Okay," and I walked away. And I think at the time I was new to the site and I didn't feel comfortable bringing it up, but I haven't seen him since because I'm on a different site now. But I wish I did bring it up to my boss and the safety team, because the person on the safety team, he's a black male, and he definitely makes an effort to reach out to me and make sure that I feel comfortable on site, and that if I have any concerns to let him know. So I guess I could retroactively bring it up, but I don't. This person's not on this job site that I'm working on now. But it definitely was something that made me feel very uncomfortable and kind of startled me. The next one was recently, I think like 2 or 3 weeks ago. One of the head engineers at our company, he came in. So we all are on this construction site, so we all share a trailer. He's pretty prominent in the company, and when he comes, he's very loud and rude. He sits in calls all day and yells. We all share one small room. I think there's about 15 to 20 of us in a very small room. He pushes his chair back really, really far, puts his feet up on the desk. He's just a very rude person. Anyway, so we have people from our company from other countries too, and they come to our site in America, and they were talking to this guy, this head engineer, and they were telling him how, oh yeah, we have to make sure we carry our passports everywhere we go because of ICE. I was just sitting on my computer minding my business. I don't engage in conversations unless someone is talking to me about work or small talk. I do my quota of small talk that I have to do to seem personable and agreeable at work. Anyway, so he says, this is the white engineer who's the head. He says, oh yeah, I don't even mind if people come here as long as they're willing to work. But there's just so many of them who never want to work or do anything. And then there's even some of them who want to come to America and turn it into a third world country. And then he said, there's a reason why people leave Somalia. It's a shithole. Mind you, the country that these people are from, who are talking about their passports, is nowhere near Somalia, and it's not on the African continent. But I thought it was very telling that he brought up as an example a country in Africa when it was not in the conversation at all. Anyway, one of the employees who's from a different country came up to me later on, and he was like, you're okay, right? And I was like, yeah, I'm fine. And he's like, the conversation earlier, you're okay, right? You're doing good. And I was like, oh, sure. I just thought it was interesting because he didn't ask me how I was doing. He was kind of telling me, just be okay with it and, don't talk about it. It was an interesting way to bring it up. I hope I'm explaining the story in a manner that makes sense. But for that one, I told my boss about it, and I wrote down the incident and the time. So I just need to report it to HR, which I'm going to do. But it's very common in my company for people who are in higher positions to say racist things. Oh, the other thing I wanted to bring up was I did talk to other people about it, and they gave me the advice to not bring up that the comment was racist, but just that it was inappropriate and unprofessional. So that's how I was going to bring it up. I'm not going to bring up anything that has to do with race. But there are just a lot of people who are heads of the company or higher ups who consistently say racist things or always bring up politics and make people uncomfortable, but they just have infinite power because people think that they have special smart brains. So yeah. The other thing I want to talk about was just the I've just been going through a lot because I'm kind of permanently, well, not permanently, but I'm on site for X amount of months, and it is overwhelming because I don't have any of my family or anyone I know here. And just having to be in this work environment is hard, especially when you understand racism or have some understanding of racism just because you understand the role as a Black person within the society and how white people treat you. But then I also have to be at work and white people review me. White people are constantly assessing me, my skill level, my, agreeability, that my ability to communicate. And it's just does feel like I'm constantly in a state of like tension and surveillance. And it prevents me, I feel like, from working comfortably. And it's just this situation where like white people are like my parents. I mean, in all of society they are, but especially within this job, they're just like, I'm a direct report for basically all white people. I'm often only in rooms with white people. So it's just a lot mentally to deal with. And then it's unfortunate because it's like I have a Black coworker who I enjoy talking to, but I just don't know if I want to have that type of conversation with her. I don't think that's the right thing to do, which I know that would be the advice from the Cows and Cows listeners, to not bring that up to her, but I do kind of just bring up my discomfort with, I guess, how things are communicated and the structures at my job. I think one positive interaction I had was I have this contractor who is consistently very rude. Every time I bring up things that we need to change or things that they overlooked or just anything, anytime I call him, he would make a big fuss. He would always do these like sarcastic jokes, and he often would imply that like I was stupid or the other engineers on this project were stupid that we worked with. And he had conflict with the other engineer, so that's why they made him my contractor, because people see me at my job as like more calm and less conflict prone. But at one point he just really, really frustrated me. I was walking something with him and he was just very rude and making very snide remarks and implying that I was stupid. And I just stopped him in the hallway when no one was there. He's a white male. And I told him, I understand that I'm newer, but I'm trying to learn and I'm trying to have a relationship like with you where we can both work on this project and come to, like a good end of this project because we're nearing the end. And I just told him, I don't speak to you in a rude manner. I can't tell you how to speak to me, but I would appreciate if you spoke to me, calmly, and you spoke to me in a manner where we're trying to just come to a common solution. He started being like, well, that's just how I talk to everyone, and I talk to everyone like that. I asked one of his coworkers, and he was like, yeah, he doesn't talk to me like that. And I was like, that's interesting. But I do think that, and I told him after he said he talks to everyone like that, and I said, I understand that may be how you talk to other people, but I am asking you specifically to me that I would like you to not speak to me that way. I do not know what are the relationships you have with other people and how you speak to them. That was like maybe 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I can actually say that he has not spoken to me rudely since. Every time I have a need or we have meetings, we used to have meetings where he would scream so loud that like people would come into the room to check on me and my boss. He has not had any conflicts, even when we give him changes or things that have to be worked on. It's not like he's completely subdued. Like, he'll express his opinion, but he does not speak to me in a rude manner. So I felt like that was successful. I haven't had any issues with him. Before, when I used to have to call him, I had a lot of anxiety. I don't have that anymore. I'm still not 100% like, okay, this is like a person that I want to work with. But I definitely think it's gotten a little bit easier. I'm almost done. Sorry. I have one more thing or two more things that I wanted to bring up. So one more thing is I have these two construction managers at my job. They're constantly like, you know, watching Trump, watching Fox News and all that stuff. And they have like America tattoos and tattoos of the Constitution on them, and very interesting. Anyway, so I've noticed that they do not like to give me keys to equipment that I need keys to do my work successfully. For instance, I have to get to site at 6 a.m. to be able to open keys for equipment and valves so that we can get flow, so that the welders can do their testing. I communicated this to them the night before, and then in the morning, I communicated it to him, and I said, hey, I can walk with you in the plant to show you everything that I'm going to do so you have an understanding so that you feel comfortable with giving me the keys so I can operate this. He said, okay, that's fine. I have the keys here. I'll meet you there once you have everything set up. I had everything set up. I called him, hey, I'm ready to do the walk. He meets me. He makes me do the whole walk of everything that I'm working on. And then at the end, he says, oh, but, you know, I don't actually have the keys. My coworker does. The other construction manager, they're both in a relationship. So I will just say his wife. I don't know if they're married, but I'll just say his wife. And I said, okay, do you know where she is? And he was like, I'm not sure. So then I call her. Mind you, every other time I've called this woman, she has answered. He said, I'm not sure where she is. She's not on site, which you should not be able to leave the site with keys to equipment. Because if anything happens, things need to be shut down, I don't know, closed, open. People should be able to have access to them in an emergency. And so I'm calling her. She's not answering my calls. This is and I want to bring up that this happened probably like 3 or 4 times that I have to wake up at like 5. Mind you, I like to exercise in the morning. I don't get to do that. I have to wake up at 5, get ready, be there at 6, only to not get the keys on time. So anyway, I called her, I texted her, she didn't respond. And I was telling myself in my mind, like, I know when my white coworker comes, she is going to, like when he comes to work in the morning, she's going to magically appear with the keys. So I was like in the trailer waiting for her, and I said, you know what, I'm just going to work on other stuff and make sure everything is completely ready, talk to the welders about what we're going to do. And I called my white coworker, and I said, they're not giving me the keys. I don't know where she is. When you get to site, can you tell her husband that you need the keys? Of course, he gets there. He gets the keys within 5 minutes. I'm not surprised. I was like, okay, at least I got the keys and I got my work done. And I did tell my boss about it. The next day, once she came back, and there is a new protocol with the keys so that that doesn't happen again. And I told the person I talked about before, the black male safety officer, that I did not think it was a good idea for them to be able to have the keys and leave the site. There should always be a designated person who has the keys if you have to leave site, which is now the new rule. And then the last thing I wanted to bring up, which I thought was just interesting, is I have this one of the welders that I work with, pipe fitters. He likes to talk a lot about his life. He's white male. Often always brings up how he's part Native American. Mind you, he looks like a white male. He has blonde hair and blue eyes. Anyway, he was talking about his family, and he brought up how he has 2 adopted black brothers, and that they were adopted, I think, because their parents passed away, and his dad adopted them. And one of them is named Devontae. So that was really interesting. And then he said something like, yeah, and the other one, he wants to have a record of, like, he wants to have as many kids possible with as many women possible. Isn't that funny? He already has 7 kids with 7 women. This is his black adopted brother, so-called. And again, I was just said, oh, that's interesting. And that's all I wanted to bring up for now. Thank you.
Well, much obliged, Z's mommy. Wow, that was a boatload, slave boat load. Whew, man. Shout to Devontae. I don't know what. Oh, and this is in California too, Mendocino County. Vontae, did we forget you? We did not. Man, that is so tacky. Isn't that tacky? And that would be another illustration, even though that was the last thing. That's exactly, she said it herself. I don't want to talk about anything except the workplace. Once we deviate from the job, it's about to be all kinds of tacky. Devontae. Man, that's such a, wow. She started, she said the fella was on the construction site, I guess non-white, non-black person. And he says, Mira, come here. Look, how come all of you people look like you? Dark people. Why they, out here doing these little cleaning jobs? Why aren't they doing, welding? Why don't they get serious job? Why are they doing this old nonsense? Uh-oh. And that even reminds me, we had a victim of racism, black person, dial in some time ago. They said they were at a work event and they had a non-white, non-black person, so-called Latino, and they pulled them to the side, which I thought was so important for context. They didn't just do this out in front with the whole group to get others' input. They pulled them all in the corner like this was some sort of drug deal and said, look here, what's the difference between a black person and a Negro? I want to know. Tell me. Reminded me of that. Come and ask me some. What? I mean, if we were not in the workplace, maybe I could just be truthful about this and, the same race soldiers who are talking about recruiting for ICE so that they can round up your cousins and homies and put them over in what they call alligator Alcatraz. Those same race soldiers, they don't hire no niggers. Usual suspects. That answer your question? Now, I wouldn't say that in the workplace, but I mean, really. She said she didn't want to, report that, whatever. We keep it moving, log that, keep moving. Said that this was a white fella, said he comes in, puts his feet up on the desk, gets comfortable. So, oh my God, got these third world country folks coming in. It's disgusting. Somalia. She said they didn't even have no Somalian folks present. But I don't even know if she said they had any African people present, but that's neither here nor there. Got these folks coming in here from third world countries, Somalia, it's feces, and the people of feces too. We are on a construction site with See, same thing. Once we are no longer talking about the workplace, like, it might be anything, but mostly it's going to be racism. Mostly it's going to be racism. You can count it down too. She said it was so bad, other people came up to her like, I'm not Somalian. Yeah, I know, but I mean, now, even that right there, the fact that, they didn't go around to everybody who heard this. Like, oh my God, so disgusting and racist. What's that have to do with the construction site? They went to her, like I said, man, racist, they give you the impression Negras is Negras. I can't even spell Somalia. Yeah, well. Just so shocking you had to hear all that. And incidentally, to be in such a scenario where she said, hey, we're not even at the normal residence. I'm not around, support systems, so I can't go and kick it with her daughter, go kick it with my attempted family and, share with them about all this, to be isolated from everybody, like, ooh, and for a long period of time, like, wow, that is stressful. To put it mildly, stressful. Just, man, that would wear on have to go through all that kind of in isolation. Like, oof, man, even the little daily slights, like having the fella asking, why are y'all so lazy and shiftless? Why don't y'all get better jobs? Like, ugh. You can't even go home and eat some good food with the family. Just like, man, I can't believe I had to deal with that today. Ugh. Victims. Ugh. And the setup, she said, being in this environment, feeling like she is under surveillance. I'm isolated from all of my attempted family and such. My daughter, we've heard from Z, good food, can't have my smoothies, and gotta be under surveillance where they're just watching, keeping an eye on it. Hey, I say that every week. All eyes on you. Matter of fact, we had the young lady, she dialed in on the compensatory call-in this past Saturday. She said the white woman saw her on camera. She went in to give her, doing something related to her child, and the white woman saw her in person and recognized her from the video. Said, oh yeah, where do you work at? I seen you on the video footage. Like, man, all eyes on you, and in the most non-constructive manner that you can imagine. Like, it's always looking, you did this wrong, you did that wrong, you messed this up, like always, or you are stupid. You can expect that. It doesn't matter. You can be non-Clemson dad who is valedictorian. So what? You are an ignorant Nigra. You didn't even graduate from Clemson. You affirmative action hire, and you're ignorant. That's all. Matter of fact, they do that all the time. I think even Z's mommy, she told us before, it was some no-count white dude who got hired there, probably racist, and he talked to her and he said, man, everybody here is just so smart. All these other folks that work here, wow, they're really, really smart. He didn't say, you all are smart, because he could have included Z's mommy in this. That's not the way he did. Like, oh, I'm not talking about you. I mean, everybody else here, they are so smart. And then this white fella to come in and just always be condescending and talking to her like she's stupid and ignorant, that you can expect this in the workplace, in the world, from white people, I would submit humbly, and non-white people. They will just talk to you like you are the most dumb and ignorant person in the world. Black self-respect to Z's mommy. And she said, I didn't embarrass him. I didn't do this out in front of everybody. And who do you think you are talking to? Didn't do any of that. Privately got him to the side. Sir, I can't tell you how to talk, but I would appreciate it when you address me. We're just trying to solve a problem. Be constructive. That's all. If you could address me in a courteous manner, I would appreciate it. Well, this is how I talk to everybody, Well, that may be. But when you address me specifically, I would appreciate it if we can, let's just try to get to a solution. Work through these projects. Helpful, courteous man. Hey, just being professional. Brilliant. Now, strangely, she said he adjusted his conduct after this. That's all we want. We don't have to be best friends. You don't have to bring me no coffee in the morning. We don't have to go out for lunch. I don't have to talk about your children. None of that. Professional courtesy in the workplace. That is all. Incidentally, she said she did go and ask other people, does he talk to you this way? Is he curt Nope, nope, nope. Professional, courteous? No, he didn't. Nigras, and particularly the talking to me as though I am stupid. That is, I mean, woo, man. And I don't know if she remembered or not, or collectively, I don't know if we remember or not, President Obama, his nickname was No Drama Obama. It was said that, hey, white people dubbed him that moniker because, hey, no conflict here. I don't curse out folks, and I'm not going to cause a ruckus, and no drama Obama. Reminded me of when she said that she has a reputation for being less prone for conflict, professional. Say, hey, that is fantastic. Like, to be known in a workplace, this is, pardon, got stymied for a moment, but that is spectacular. In a workplace, you have a reputation, because normally they'll try and stick some reputation of us of being shiftless, lazy, affirmative action higher, something of that nature, ignorant. That's the sort of reputation that they'll stick on us. Or we don't talk, to get the reputation that, oh wow, she's professional and less prone for conflict. Well, I will take that. Wow, particularly if we're in an environment where you got people sitting around, we got all these immigrants and Africans and folks here from these old feces countries and things. I mean, yes, we need folks who are less prone to conflict in this environment. That would be spectacular to have. Let's see. Oh man, no keys for the Negra. Do you see the time wasting? This is one I talk about all the time. Man, I added that to the 10 stops on Neely Fuller Jr. His birthday is coming up in 4 days. Not that he was on birthdays and such, but yeah. But he said all the time, value time and energy. Call that economics. That's my add to the 10 stops. Do not waste non-white people's time and energy. She's going to do all the being professional. Hey, we're going to need the keys. Get this checked out. This is the walkthrough I got to do. Boom, boom, boom. Get this project. Okay. As opposed to just, here, nigga woman, take the keys, bring them back over here. We got cameras everywhere. It's 2025 on the construction site. They could even put the little tracker on the keys. No, you don't, nigga woman. We got them. We got you right here. We've been following you the whole time. Don't you get our keys. They could have done all that. No. Okay, nigga woman, you meet me at the designated time and show me your plan. We get through all of this, which I'm sure got me 2 times. What in the world? We get through all this, which I'm sure took more than 60 seconds. We waste all this time showing you what I'm going to do, and, oh, shucks, I don't have the keys anyway. Well, who has the keys? I think Becky has them, and she's not even here. WTH, man. We done wasted all the, and again, now, this is a construction company. It's almost cliche. Construction companies will sit up and give you an estimate. This is how much we think it's going to cost, and then this is when we think it's going to be done. And these 2 figures are related. This is when we think we're going to be done. Should be done October 7th. And then October 7th, well, you know, we might need it. Sometimes this is why we didn't get this done on October 7th. Why? Where are the keys at? Oh, yeah. Another brilliant illustration from Z's mommy. She doesn't go and say, what, filth, Florin, you heifer, where are the keys? She didn't do all that. In fact, even getting in the question lane, is this the best way to operate? To not have the keys on a construction site where anything could happen? Is this the best way to function? Question. And apparently, they followed the logical conclusion. No, it's not. The keys should be on the site, which they already knew. I suspect it's things like this. It's not that they didn't know. Like, oh man, this nigger woman has been so helpful. We never even thought of that. Keep the keys on the site? Really? No, I suspect that they did know this. White people like wasting non-white people's time and energy. Especially something as time sensitive, even better. And we might get a little extra coin on this. We told them it'd be done, project would be done October 7, or better yet, even we told them it'd be done August 7, and we think it might be done October 27. And we'll blame it on this old nigger woman. She lost the keys and things and didn't have her work together. I'm like, woo, man. Anywho, I do think it is a great idea in terms of the Somalia and immigrants and all that, not saying racism. I think we've said that for years here. It's not professional. Absolutely. Is this the way that we're supposed to speak in a work environment? Even if we do have Somalians who work here, I don't know if we do or don't. Either way, it would seem inappropriate, unacceptable, unprofessional. Yes? Love it, but you do not need to indict that as racism. I think we've offered that suggestion before. And then, like I said, it was a slave boat full. Devontae. If he had cranked up Jodeci, I would have lost my mind. Like, oh my gosh. White man, and even that sort of thing right there. We've had tons of illustrations over the years where white people in a work environment will bring up something totally nonsensical, unrelated to the work environment, just to talk about racism. Like it might be Huckleberry Finn, the O.J. Simpson trial, anything totally unrelated to anything we're talking about in the workplace, anything even happened currently. Got to tell you about my adopted family. What? I don't talk about my family. Hey, I don't have no pictures up in the workplace of my family. I know that's got to be the case for Z because I don't even live here. I'm out of town. I ain't got no pictures up. You don't see Z all over the wall. And come on. You're going to come out of the blue and I got to tell you about my adopted Negro family. Look here. And it ain't even nothing to brag about. It ain't even nothing to brag about. Let me tell you how many children my adopted Negro brother wants to have. Ain't he crazy? He just out there just children. You know, that's what the black boys do. Him and Devont. What? That's what I'd be thinking in my brain computer. Why are you telling me this? I'm supposed to join in ridicule. Yeah, these niggers just go out there just cheering. I got a brother do the same thing. Why are you telling me this? Adopted Negro brother. Get that one for sure. Any sort of trifling commentary of that, I dated a black person, I adopted a black person, my mom adopted a black person, or 8 black people, like anything like that. Bathroom break, brilliant. And you have nothing to say. I am not the reservoir to come and give me update. Oh, let me tell you what Vontae got into today. Got to go to the restroom. I drink all that water because it's so hot and woo. Adopted Negro brothers. Are you serious? They changed the code. I cannot minimize. They changed the code, keeping the keys on the premises. Like, wow, that is spectacular work from Z's mommy, but I can feel you. That is a lot to be away from little Z for all that time and your blender for all that time and have to deal with all of that loads of racism and anti-black. Whew, that is a lot to have to deal with. So hopefully you can do some self-care once you get back to your normal premises. Hopefully you can do lots of self-care, and you and Z can hang out and do some cool stuff and eat some good, tremendous food, and maintain self-care, but brilliant job changing the code about the keys to the colors, and brilliant job of black self-respect, in my opinion, and getting that race soldier to stop talking to you like you are dumb and stupid. Brilliant, great example for other folks to follow in terms of just using your words. Get folks to be a little bit more courteous to you in the workplace. Other folks who dialed in, if you have commentary to share, the number again, 720-716-7300, the code 564-943 pound. Press star 61 if you would like to participate.
May I be heard?
Yes, sir.
Yes, Gus. Thank you for taking my call. Greetings to all the COWS listeners and callers. I had a quick question beforehand, Gus. The person, I believe that you in the clips that was speaking about the racial classification, I wanted to make sure I got her name right. It was Stephanie Cherokee. Is that Cherokee spelled Cherqui?
Okay, we'll give our spell check one more time. So it is Stephenni, first name Stephanie, last name I think it's Cherokee. I think that's what they said. Cherkaoui.
Okay, I have to look that up in a moment. But I guess I'll get some reports about this week for me. I believe I spoke last week that I'll be on vacation this week. I have been. But it's interesting that you brought up the fact that people want to talk about sensitive subjects. I was at the store today picking up some groceries, and a elderly person came up to me and wanted to talk about, I guess, all of the cutoffs, the federal cutoff. I believe it affected her. And she was telling me that things are changing too much, and I really can't deal with it. And you can't even talk to people about things on the job. And it was just a random person that came up to me and wanted to talk about that. This person's classification to me looked like it would be a non-white, non-black person. But yeah, that happened today. Also, before my vacation started last week, and again, this is probably just a precautionary story for victims on the job. Some of my property, and it's, I left them on the desk, but my property was taken from the work site. I left them overnight one time, and they've been taken. It was a pair of glasses. So I guess, like you said, bringing personal items to work, even though I just left them by accident, but just, I guess, leaving anything on the job is up for grabs. So just a precautionary story for victims not to, I guess, bring anything to the work site. The clip about the DOGE, I guess the report was talking about the spending. That's interesting, considering that DOGE was supposed to be reducing spending, but then it turns out that from some reports, people that the spending has increased for this year. So I find that really interesting. Understanding that, where is this money even going? That's what I'll question. People may have been using this type of money for, in my opinion, using it for their own. I'm sorry, I'm hearing people in the background, Gus. Thank you. Yeah, considering that they're supposed to be limiting spending, and it turns out they're spending more. So I suspect that this money could be going to certain individuals' personal accounts. The article about, or the clip about the ICE employment, I don't have anyone personally who is looking to work for ICE, but I have heard talk of people saying that I could quit my job and go work for ICE. I had some family members say that to me. So, but I guess that's it for me. I will look up the Stephanie Charity person, and I will see if I guess the racial classification, and report on that in a moment. But thank you again for taking my call.
Much obliged. Victim will get a vote on her racial classification, which I think is pretty unambiguous, but we'll see. That is, wow. She said, I could quit my job, or if I get fired, racists get tired of me, whichever comes first. I go work for ICE. Probably true. Like I said, like he said, he didn't know anybody who's been to the career fairs, ICE fairs thus far, but that's probably true. Because they lifted the age requirement and all the rest of it. Now, same thing I said, I do not want a nigger knocker to go and crack non-white people upside the skull, even if they are not classified as black. But that's probably true. Alligator Alcatraz, probably hiring. That is kind of like being a overseer on the plantation, literally. Yeah. Same thing if you got a nigger knocker and a watching over Khalif Browder. It's, you know, they're understaffed too. So, you know. Let's see. He said, I thought it was a white person, but he said it was a non-white, non-black person who came up to him and said, oh my goodness, things have changed so much. You can't even, you know, talk to people about things on the job. I don't find that to be a problem, and that I find it kind of strange that would be something that you would come and talk to. This would be your starter point in a conversation with a random person. Yeah, I don't. I think there's so many things. There's so much. I mean, imagine we work at Boeing. I don't know. I mean, I guess it depends on where you work, but I mean, imagine we work at Boeing. They got safety recalls and all the rest of it, walkouts, all the rest. We could be federal employees. There is so much to talk about in terms of just the job, workplace safety alone. Imagine we work at the ICE facility in Dallas. Workplace safety would take up so much time, so much of the discussion alone. When are we going to get to, oh yeah, and by the way, what do you think about what Trump is doing? When are we going to get to that? Matter of fact, what about my raise? What about my bonus? We getting to the end of the year, and then these clowns want to talk about the potluck dinner and all that. When are we going to get to politics and all the rest of it? We got mountains of stuff. That's the problem. Right now, we have got serious things that should be addressed in the workplace, not, oh, by the way, and what do you think about, come on, man. Do that on your spare time, man. And then get into all that, then we waste all that time, and then we never get to, oh, yeah, workplace safety. That was something we were supposed to be talking about. My raise, that was something we were supposed to be talking about. My bonus, and on and on and on. Boeing, certainly. Workplace safety, that was definitely something we were supposed to be talking about. Keep them bolts from flying out of planes when they're in the air. Testify to that when we go to the court. Why do you think the plane fell? Well, we got on that discussion about Hillary Clinton and just had a bad few days. Come on. Other folks who dialed in with a hand up, if you have commentary to share, proceed.
I'm sorry, guys. Can I just say briefly?
Victim, yes, sir.
Yeah, I just checked out the picture, and I will err on the side of non-white, but that'll be it. Thank you.
Oh, See, we got two. I would be stunned if anybody saw her. It was like, oh yeah, I think she's racist suspect. Like, oh yeah, like what? Got VGQ, but much obliged. Other folks who dialed in, if you have commentary to share, proceed. Lauren? Yes, ma'am.
Evening, everyone. Reference those segments you played earlier, Doug. The first one where the representative from the American Federation of Government Employees, he was talking and he said, we don't believe, he was talking about the President Trump, we don't believe he has the authority to do that. And I don't know how many times I've heard people say things like that since 2016 and especially since January 2025. Let me see. It seems like there was guidance to not make shutdown plans. Those are usually made ahead of time when it's thought that there might be a shutdown. And there was a question asked about safety nets. I don't know what they were talking about for the government programs or the actual employees. But then after that, they said 65% work paycheck to paycheck. And, you know, that made me think like later on when they were talking about the essential services, they said some essential work for the country, you know, is going to keep going on. They were talking about, I think they said the mail is going to keep going, the TSA people are going to keep going to work, things like that. And but how long? I mean, if 65% of people are living paycheck to paycheck, and I don't think the TSA people make very much money, how long do you expect people have rent, utilities, you know, maybe a car note, insurance, all these sorts of bills, and you have to have gas to get to and from work, do all of these things. I don't know how long they expect people. Once you get past 2 weeks, which is, you know, I think how often they get paid, that doesn't seem realistic to me at all. I also thought it was interesting that DOGE hasn't really delivered on any of its core promises and that the federal spending had actually increased. I also noted that one of them, it said employees that aren't consistent with the president's priorities might be fired. That really sounds like a lot of non-white people or white people who don't agree with them. Unions called the threats of mass layoffs unlawful. Law is what people do, and the Supreme Court has said the president has immunity, so anything he does is legal or lawful. So I don't know. The person, there was a segment where it said Dean Cain, the old Superman, who was going to be an honorary ICE agent, and then I thought that was another white man. He said, you know, he was talking about working for ICE, and he said if your employer says to do something, you got to do it. And that sounded like what the Nazis said after World War II. You know, they were just following orders. And he said he applied after Charlie Kirk was shot. And then he said, we need to focus on our families and God and loving other people. Now, this is a person talking about being an ICE agent. So I just wondered, you know, once he starts rounding up these people and putting them in detention camps, or I don't know, I actually wondered about, are they concentration camps and what's that definition? But is that loving other people? It doesn't sound like it. The Wikipedia said a concentration camp is a prison or other facility used for the internment of political prisoners or politically targeted demographics, such as members of national or ethnic minority groups on the grounds of national security or for exploitation or punishment. So I don't know. I know someone who works for the government. This person received a check for less than $40 in the mail. This check was from apparently overtime that wasn't paid correctly after the last shutdown, which was 2018, 2019. That's almost 7 years ago. And then it said the check was supposed to count as income, so you should put it on your taxes. It just seems like a lot of trouble to go through for less than $40. But, you know, it's interesting that these checks get mailed right at the time the government is shutting down again. And people are going to need that money. I don't know, and also, you know, uncertainty about whether or not the next paycheck is going to be received. That seems to be a lot. I saw a commercial on TV about ICE. Is it okay for me to talk about that, Gus?
Let's hear it.
Okay. The ICE commercial was recruiting local police officers. It said, "You took an oath to protect and serve to keep your family, your city safe. But in sanctuary cities, you're ordered to stand down while dangerous illegals walk free. Join ICE and catch the worst of the worst. Drug traffickers, gang members, predators. Join the mission to protect America with bonuses up to $50,000 and generous benefits." That's all I have for now. Thank you for allowing me to share.
Dang. And that black brother, he just told us, he said, hey, if things get tight, you know, I get on them white people's nerves. I always go, I could leave, get me a job, work for ICE. $50,000 bonus and benefits? Psh, sign me up today, man. Sit around here and mess around with you. Man, come on. $50,000 bonus? Wow. And I sound like I get to be Superman a little bit. They said, boy, you get to come get rid of gangsters. Boy, what? Go work for ICE, man. That's a job right there. That's a career. I could be proud. Come on, I work for ICE. Get gangsters, thugs, get them out of here. I love America, yeah. I don't know what that love they see. They get us that love. They call it love. Mary Kay was loving on old Veely, and anyway, it might be more accurate to call them concentration camps, that you're going to get a job, and even to think of it in that manner, that you're signing up to get a job, because she said that's what the so-called Nazis, racists, that's what they said in Germany. You know, hey, this is just a job, you know. Adolf told us to do this, you know. We just listen, you know. Our Fuhrer instructs, we follow orders, you know. Maybe that's the context we should think about it, you know, not alligator Alcatraz, but the concentration camp for the dark people. $50,000 bonus to work at the concentration camp. They got benefits at the concentration camp. I don't really know what to say about that. Like, dang, I've heard of backlog before, but she said it took 7 years for them to mail like a $35 check. And then make sure you declare that on your taxes. Don't be, IRS might come get you. You're going to come. It was, man, come on. Is interest, do they put, it should be 50, right? Because you took, whew, man. And if, she was correct. Lauren, she said they said about 65% of the employees are living paycheck to paycheck. Like, dang, I might have really needed that $35. Like, whew, man. System of white supremacy. And again, more of an impact on non-white people. White people have way more resources to manage all of the disaster financial chaos, just ongoing chaos. Any hoodles. Let's see. Much obliged. Lauren, let's see. The other folks who dialed in with a hand up that we have missed totally. Irie should be with us as well. Did you have commentary?
Yes, hi. Okay, I'm trying to remember everything. I had to call in because I wanted to see if it was me, just me with this outlook. But first, you ask people to call in. You know, you'll say, hey, they don't bother me on the job. I can take off when I need to. They love me. They give me bonuses. She wouldn't call in, I don't think, but I have a friend that would say that's what's happening on her job. It's like a science-based firm, small firm she's at. And I was very happy for her because I thought maybe these are white males that want to produce justice for the one black person that is in their, presence. And I think what she does is administrative, basically. But then she started talking about some of the things she does, and she mentioned how they would be astonished at what she was doing and very cheerful about it. So basically she was cleaning up after him. I'm sorry. She was cleaning up after him. I just can't believe she can't see it, is where I got stuck. So she was like refilling the coffee, like the Keurig little stand, and putting little doilies on, I don't know, around where they fix their little snacks and they trinkets and whatnot, I guess where they eat their snacks and stuff. She brought in some other type of beautification, and they were like, oh my God, this is so cool, and how'd you think of that? And wow, it really feels like home, like something to that degree, they told her. And I thought when I heard it, did she accidentally create, did she mammify herself? I don't even know if that's the right term. I'm not trying to name call. I have to admit I don't have the word guide yet. I'd be saying I'm going to get it, and then I buy other books. So somebody can point me that direction if they have it around, and I don't mean to use it in an uncodified way. The only thing I know as a stereotype is the mammy stereotype, where black women offer comfort to white children or white people. You know what I'm saying? If she's proficient at her job, she got to be. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't think they would have her around if she wasn't excellent at what she's doing, considering what they're doing. But I don't think it's appropriate for her to, I don't know, I could see if other people were volunteering the same thing, like they took turns. But she's constantly the one to do housekeeping, let's call it what it is, along with the administrative role. So tell me if I'm incorrect on that. But she swears they love her and she ain't got no problems. It's heaven on earth. The next thing, I was going to mention something about the library, but I can't think of it right now. I know we're losing a good bit of staff, I will say that. And we did get yelled at about a service that was reduced. But basically, before this new director came on board, or after, she had it in her mind to redo certain parts of the library at the expense of services and or employees, and the manifestation is showing now, for sure. When we were in meetings, they talked about, the municipality also pitching in for these rehabs, and they did, but it still went over what we initially were told, and we're losing staff, and there's some services that's been cut. So yeah, we got yelled at during public comment. And I also am still trying to find a way to get the. I would like to get the board to volunteer one day to show goodwill toward the staff, and also so they can see with their own eyes what I've seen with my own eyes after being told by staff how dirty it is in the library, you know. And so fortunately, another board member that's white said, yeah, what Irie's saying is true, because where he works, there's 25,000 books, and they talk about how volunteers and staff will just take a day to clean books, shelves, whatever, top to bottom, and that's what I was trying to propose, basically. Should we just have a day where we close the library so we can clean up? I didn't see anything, like, I looked online to see if other libraries do that, but I didn't see anything, and so I recommended the training day that they have internally as the day to shut down, so we could possibly do it, because it's going to be closed already. And there's one trustee, it's a metaphor, I guess, but if I were to put it in the I guess before the antebellum, whatever the word would be, you know, before antebellum, he just reminds me of an old plantation master, and I could just see the look on his face. There ain't no way I'm about to come in here and clean anything. But so I'm done with those two things. This is the real reason why I called. I was listening to something about rideshare. I suppose you could say workplace racism by way of a very, through dishonesty, with ride shares and food, like being able to order food, restaurants being able to compete with corporations who have commodified, you know, the act of food delivery. And they mentioned a word, and I immediately was like, this has got to be an act of racism. The person that created this word is Corey, C-O-R-Y, Doctorow, D-O-C-T-O-R-O-W. And the word he has invented is enshittification. Enshittification, this is from Wikipedia, briefly. Enshittification, also known as crappification and platform decay, is a pattern in which two-sided online products and services decline over time. Initially, vendors create high-quality offerings to attract users, then they degrade those offerings to better serve business customers, and finally degrade their services to users and business customers to maximize profits for shareholders. So, like I said, I was listening to the little broadcast at first, because I used to do rideshare. I think I talked about different things that's happened to me. I've been, you know, my safety has been challenged. I've picked up racists. I've picked up people who were drunk that I had to turn away, and then they cussed me out. And I also have had moments where the bonus would be on the screen, then all of a sudden the app would crash. So this white guy, Corey, is trying to say experiences like that, experiences where a corporation buys a URL that's the same as your restaurant name, so you have to work with them in order to get your food delivered to people. This is a process of enshittification. But so I'm saying it's got to be an act of racism, because according to everything I've ever been told, SHIT, as it goes with the bodily function, is not white. Like, oh, wow. So in other words, when things decay, when things go bad, when there's dishonesty and a loss of integrity, it goes dark brown and black, basically. Y'all tell me he ain't got no PhD. I looked him up. He ain't no, this ain't no Rhodes Scholar. So I guess this is also a little bit of creating a little bit of propaganda and sensation behind his ethos, as the white people would say. Let me know. I'm gonna mute my line. Oh no, another thing, workplace racism. I'm trying to help a non-white family with a student. This child has a specific learning plan that just got implemented. It's the first week of October. He was supposed to have this education plan in place first day of school, and the mom said that, well, they lost it, and she didn't know that they weren't implementing it until this week, when they admitted that they lost it and weren't implementing it. And she also, she's very concerned about her offspring, and they're just not being honest with her. So that's some other workplace racism I'm experiencing, trying to help her, or by proxy of trying to help her, because she doesn't know that there were certain things she could have done legally before and after the creation of the plan, and it sounds like she's not proactive. I'm not saying she's a bad mother, but sometimes, if you're going to put your kids in the school system, you have to study that system. Like any other system, you should study if you're going to engage in it before you put a child into it, because that's a legal transfer of authority when it comes to the child as well, along with, is the child going to get what you think they're supposed to be getting, and how do you validate it independently? So that's all for now. I'm going to mute. Thank you.
Much obliged, Irie. Let's see. The first portion of your commentary, you talked about the young lady. I guess she had some sort of science job, and you said she might have been in that group. Hey, they don't mistreat me. Racist, I get paid well, hopefully, and I'm not mistreated in the workplace. Hey, this is what folks would aspire to in lieu of us replacing white supremacy with justice. And she said that, I guess in talking to this young lady, that she cleans up after the other white people on her job. I guess if they make coffee or tea or whatever, she'll clean up the mugs, cups, that sort of thing, snacks. When she was detailing all of this, it immediately reminded me, now Dr. M.A., years before we got to that point, she talked about working in a similar kind of medical environment, and there was some sort of expectation that and I think she was probably the only black person in this work environment, but there was some sort of expectation that she would be the one who would take out the trash. And like what you said, since many people use the trash, I think you said many people make their coffee or tea or whatever, drinks, however they dirty up the area. Hey, novel idea. We could all clean up after ourselves. Shock. Or we could all take turns. They have schedules, I'm sure. Put it on a calendar, trade by week or by day. One person tidy up end of the day, just make sure everything's thrown in the trash, or wipe down the counter, whatever it is, dishes, whatever. Lots of different ways. How does it end up being that the black person? Now, it could be that she volunteered to do all of this. In 2025, system of white supremacy racism, even at a subconscious level, it could be that all these years of training and it might be that may be the way that she has been trained to be comfortable on the plantation, as have many of us. Some of us, we've been trained to be the entertainment committee, laughing and joking, sometimes being anti-black with other victims. But that might have been the way that she's been trained, and or they may have told her directly, indirectly, this is your job. I don't know. Now, I think she said this was voluntary, unless I misheard, but I don't know. I do know that racists, I mean, they have such a long, like I said, the first thing I thought of was Emmy. And in that situation, she called, it's in the archives. I know she did not volunteer. It was not yeah, let me do this to ingratiate myself to my other employees and show them I'm really on the team. It was like I think they might have even directly told her, like, yeah, this is your job. Nigger work, you do this. Like, we're not taking turns, we're not trading. You exclusively do this. And it could have been the exact same thing with your young lady friend. Like, I don't know, maybe she did do it voluntarily, but like I said, like, that's almost the same thinking I have about rape. Like, now, did she really consent to do this? I don't know. Either way, yeah, that's right. I hope she doesn't feel that she has to do that to keep her job or to stay in the good graces of the white people that she works with, and or that they didn't tell her these are part of her duties. If she's, I think you say, like, she's in administration. I mean, she should not be cleaning up coffee cups and the like. If she's in admin, I mean, maybe if she has a green thumb and they have plants in the office, maybe I come out and keep everybody's plants looking spry. Maybe that. But beyond that, like, no. Racist, usual suspects. The the library component, I'm not surprised she said they're losing staff. If that's cuts, that could even be, government shutdown related and all that. But she said they're kind of losing staff, and the impact that one impact of that could be the cleaning or lack of cleaning. It didn't seem like people were excited, because I think she had told us about this before, and saying that the keyboards at some of the branches were just filthy, and you have black people who, because of racists, don't have access to Wi-Fi. And so they come in to use the library, and it's all filthy and disgusting. Like, who wants to touch that and do any research or, anything? And so if you have fewer staff, it might be even less clean. Books, everything. She proposes, I think, hey, how about, let's do a staff clean day. We can go and buff up some of these books and such. And she says the kind of plantational white fella that was like, do what? Clean? That's nigger work. I don't clean. Like, now, in my view, hey, if you are a steward of the librarian, nobody, I don't care how many degrees, how much money you have, if you work at the library, no one should be above cleaning and maintaining proper care of the books. I mean, why do you work at a library? Are you serious? Come on, especially we're talking about just making sure. And did COVID, is that doesn't exist anymore? We just made that up? Like, come on. I know, people scam and the COVID scam and they lie. I know. But admit, hey, it's flu season, right? I've not heard anybody say that the flu is a scam and a government lie that Dr. Fauci propagated. I've not heard anyone say that, right? So we're headed to flu season. That'd be another good reason. Let's give the books a good clean. School year just started. Gonna have more students in, right? Let's give the books a good clean. Maybe the keyboard too. What in the... Even that flagrant disrespect, that would even sound like workplace safety, because I mean, if it's not clean, and what I just say, we're going into flu season. We don't want it to be clean. That's not safe. That's not healthy. Lack of staffing, that could get even worse. Like, you have to be real proactive about that. Like, geez, and which maybe that's what's intended. Cut staff and just let everything kind of same way she was just talking about the erosion of services with the ride share. Even that might be a part of the business model, whatever name they attach to it, but that might be a part of the business model to allow services to erode for rideshare, whatever else, to make people pay for upgraded premium versions of these services so they can make more money. All of that might be by design. I don't know who put that term on it or what have you. I'm sure there are probably lots of different ways of describing that without the racism and expletives, where you could detail exactly what white people are doing just to be greedy, get more money, reinforce the system of white supremacy racism. Really probably do a lot of tricking non-white people with goods and services that are designed to be faulty from the beginning. Any hoodles. Let's see. Much obliged. I read the number again, 720-716-7300. The code 564943 pound. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. Other folks can let, I don't know, have you all seen that where a non-white person, black person specifically, they're in like a professional capacity, but they are somehow they end up doing like emptying the refuse baskets, or out of clearing the coffee cups, like doing kind of almost janitorial work, even though they're in an executive administrative capacity, but they're kind of tidying up after their other white colleagues. Have people seen that before or heard of that? Or I don't know, have you been asked to participate in that sort of thing before? Was it like a directly you were asked, or was it nonverbal, kind of expected that you would do that, or did you just kind of take it on voluntarily? Have people seen that dynamic before? Because I have, just to see if other folks are familiar with this. Let's see. Other folks who dialed in that we missed totally, and then we can get response to that question as well. Mo in Dallas should be with us as well.
Can I be heard?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Greetings, guys. Greetings to listeners and callers. To answer your question about the housekeeping, yes, I've actually experienced that. It's actually how I received an administrative position. I was working in a warehouse as kind of like a temp position, and I just I don't like vermin, bugs, spiders, messes. So along with my job, I was just kind of cleaning as I worked, and a white male noticed what I was doing, and he wasn't directly working for the company that I was working for, but he was like he was the company's customer. So we were furnishing a popular cell phone company, and a lot of the product was just filthy, and I had to go through the product and kind of look up serial numbers and things like that. And I noticed we had like a spider infestation, and I was like, okay, well, I gotta clean this before I can look at it. And I guess before then, no one did such. And for that, I actually received an administrative position, so that was interesting. So like I said, I have direct experience in that. But it was just more, it was, I guess, necessary. The AFGE president, when I heard his voice, I assumed it was a non-white male, so I looked him up, and he was. And I was wondering when he received that position, and he received that position as president of the AFGE in February 2020, and that reminded me of COVID. And I was like, well, he received that position when I think that particular agency was kind of in a downturn, due to COVID. So I likened that to the Frederick Douglass reference from yesterday with the Freedman Bank. I took a note about all of the people who traveled from different states to go to Utah for ICE. It was 1,000 people, and they offered 370 jobs on the site. On the spot. And I realized these people do have time and money to travel. And it sounded like a lot of non-black white people. And that seems like what they were looking for. I didn't hear many non-white people being interviewed as by the news. So I thought that was interesting, and I thought that was their target audience, and that was certified or confirmed by the Charlie Kirk supporter. I think that was towards the end of those interviews. Operation Clog the Toilet. I think that's an example of what happens when white people care about something. They end up doing something, and they get ideas on how to do different things. Like they can put in a conscious effort to kind of execute when they have a motivation to do so. I'll try to be quick with my two work examples, and then I have to mute because I have to go back in. I did the first one's personal. I work with a non-white, non-black. I think he's of Asian descent. This was quick. I don't talk much at work, but I'm not mean or rude. And he asked me if I knew Jackie Chan, and I was like, "Oh yeah, I heard of Jackie Chan before." And he used that as a I should have said no, but he used that as a chance to quote Rush Hour when Jackie Chan used the word nigger, repeating Chris Tucker. And I really regret saying I knew Jackie Chan because I had to explain to him that I don't speak that way. So that was interesting. And then another I guess this would be black self-respect in a sense. I have a coworker at the plantation, and he has been doing his current job for maybe 3 months, and he's been, complaining about how he doesn't get paid to do this job yet. He kind of has he's been trained on this particular position, but he hasn't been receiving pay for it. But he's been receiving like reprimands and things. And recently he was looking for another job, and he has a job with better pay at another company. And as soon as he brought it up, they were talking about how they were going to raise his pay and things. I thought that was very interesting. So now he's in like a conundrum to where he doesn't know if he should take this new job or if he should stay here. And I don't have any advice for him because I don't know what he should do either. But I am happy that he is trying to, better himself. But it's just, I think that's very, difficult to deal with, especially because, it's not the first time he brought it up. But that's all I have for now. I mute my line.
Much obliged, Mo in Dallas. Now, that's interesting because he said he has experienced that before with the cleaning component. And he said it ended up being constructive, if I heard it correctly, where he, it was, I guess, this work situation, he took it upon himself to go and clean this area that he was going to work in. And the other folks on the job noted this, and he ended up getting promoted to an administrative position because he took that initiative to do some, extra cleaning. So, how about that? Yeah, that's, that might be the same thinking that the young lady has who's doing the cleaning up of the coffee and such in the administrative position. And two, you have some people too that are just kind of clean freaks. Like it totally could be white people that have told her to do this. Absolutely. You also have some people that are just obsessive, like, oh no, we cannot leave coffee cups, all around. I don't care if I own the company, we're not going to leave coffee cups, on the table or whatever it is, that sort of thing. So, and again, white people directly, indirectly could have told her to do this. The ICE commercial. Now, the report that we heard about ICE this week that I played at the beginning, one, it was audio, so I'm not sure if these people are classified as white or not. But the report that we played last week about ICE, they did mention specifically that about 50% of the people that they were recruiting for ICE positions were so-called Hispanic. And they interviewed folks, and some of these people even said, you might be going out and, locking up people that look just like you. Hey, $50,000 bonus. So it seemed to suggest that at least some of these people were non-white, even though they were going to work for ICE. Now, again, so if Leroy and Lakeisha decide, Chick-fil-A ain't cutting it, I'm going to go work at ICE. Is that concentration camp? But still, I'm going to go work for ICE. I'd have to see, evidence that that's taking place and such. He said, we get another illustration for the workplace. No talking about anything except matters related to the job. Not TV, dances, music, Halloween candy, nothing but the job. He said, brother comes up, hey, you know about brother Jackie Chan? I said, oh, sure, I know about Jackie Chan. Oh, let me go. What does this have to do with work? He even said immediately, I should have said, nope. I don't know nothing about it. And I've said you can use that when the political thing comes up. Back they say, hey, you know about brother Charlie Kirk? Nope. You could have all of his best lectures and speeches and things. Already got a playlist. Waiting, study, take notes. The operation of a race soldier. You could have all that set up. Doesn't matter. In the workplace? Nope. I don't know nothing about Charlie Kirk. Nope. I don't know nothing about Jackie Chan. I got the collector's edition of Rush Hour. All of them. Signed by Chris Tucker and everything. We get to the workplace. You know about Jackie Chan? I don't know Jackie Chan. You never saw Rush Hour? I got the signed poster at the house. I don't. Oh, I had one of my favorite jokes, boy, that Jackie. And we've talked about that before. I had mentioned Chris Tucker before with Friday because I think somebody had mentioned something about Friday on the program, and I said, oh, no, don't ever, never. I would not mention it, bring it up. I don't want to watch it because some jobs, we already heard people saying they were watching the news, Fox News, that sort of thing in the workplace. Whatever. I have nothing to say about that. Some jobs, that might even transition to they're just watching TV, watching movies. Maybe we watch Friday. Maybe we watch Rush Hour, all four of them. Whatever. I have nothing to say about any of it, and I'm not watching it. We're in the workplace. I'm trying to get a bonus. That's what I want to talk about. A raise. Promotion. That's what I want to talk about. Not no goofy. That's why I would say just being observant. What do they come to talk to us about? Rush Hour? Chris Tucker's greatest hits? What do they come to talk to black people about? Also why I say get a reputation for being serious in the workplace. Not that you don't, sir. Just, so that we get a reputation for being serious. I'm not here to talk about Chris Tucker, Kevin Hart. I'm here. Serious things. Bonus, raise, promotion, workplace safety, serious things. Leroy is about serious things. That's how you want to project in the workplace. Not some old Jackie can sit around and wait to come talk to me. And I said, that is so common. That's the sort of thing right there. Now, if I was a white person, CEO, you're going to sit around and, hey, boss, you know about Jackie Chan? Oh, well, let me tell you about that American classic Rush Hour. Do you understand the words? Like, come on. Let's see. He said it was black male privilege. who was on a job where he was not making very much money, and he was getting reprimanded, surprise, and so he goes to look for another job where he can get better finances, intelligent. And then as soon as, I think, if I heard it correctly, as soon as I guess they caught wind at the current job that this might be happening or what have you, then they raised his pay. And so now he's thinking, ooh, what do I do? Do I take the new job? Do I stay at the current job where I'm going to now get a boost in salary? I'd say that's a good problem to have. Yes, good problem to have. I'd say, well, one, if the only reason that he was going to leave that current job is money, if like this is not just them doing the old okey doke fake on us where they say they're going to give us a raise and then they don't do it, where they verbalize that they're going to give a raise and then raise. Who said? I don't remember something. Did you say? I don't remember nothing about that. You must be mistaken. Yeah, if this is on the up and up, legit, we get this in writing, you will get said amount of money, whatever we said, or there it is. Bam, gonna be on your paycheck this date, this time, all in writing, and HR knows about this. Have fun. Go out and get extra Mad Dog 2020. If that was the only reason that you were gonna leave, and you got it legit that you are gonna get, whatever if the increase that you're gonna get is to your or to your friend's satisfaction, hey, if that was the only reason they were leaving, I would say stay. The only reason at that point to leave is if they were, now I think he said they might have been reprimanding. If the reprimands and such, that might be something else to consider. What's the difference in pay between the new job potentially? How much are they going to pay? And then Fuller talked about this. Man, we might have to go and do a lot of research about this new job. Talk about grass is always greener. I mean, hey, you might be better off sticking with the racists that you've already been working with as opposed to a brand new plantation, brand new racists. It would be a lot of research. Where is this place? How long is it going to take to get to this place? Is this going to require like relocation? Is this in the same town? What's the commute like? Especially winter is upon us. The great Neely Fuller Jr. mentioned this explicitly, and on the cows no less. Neutralizing Workplace Racism didn't even exist when we talked about this, but he said you get a job brand new and you start, let's say in September, August, it's warm, air conditioning is on. Now we are headed to winter. It might only take you 15 minutes to get to that job in September. January, a little bit of ice on the road, snow, ooh-wee, even just time to let the car warm up. Now that might balloon to 45 minutes. Maybe you can't get there at all. Ooh-wee, that is something to consider, especially if the job you got right now, you got a 10-minute commute. Even if it snows, maybe it balloons to 30 minutes, maybe, but it's pretty easy to get there. That is something massively to consider, because Fuller talked about that. He said you could switch and take that job, you make a little bit more money, but longer commute. This is one where I'm an advocate. Hey, go back and check the record. See if you can talk to other employees. Do they have lots of lawsuits? Like, oh my God, the employees found asbestos in the restrooms, or they got 15 years worth of complaints of racism against the black employees. Lynches found in the lunchroom. Nooses in the lunchroom. It would take a lot of researching to see, like, is this really going to be a better employment opportunity for me, especially given now if the finances, if that was really the motivating factor to leave, if that reason has now been eliminated, if they're going to give a little bit more nickels, maybe you stay. I would keep that in mind, though. They might, sometimes race soldiers, they like to do you foul. They'll say, oh, Leroy was going to leave us. We thought we had a loyal nigger and you're not really loyal. And they'll do the, like I said, the okey doke. They'll fake and pretend that they're going to give you the raise, or they might even give it to you, and then they still turn around and fire you in 3 weeks anyway. If anything, even though it seems, I guess your friend, he got the raise on the basis of them finding out about this, I would try and not share. If you get a new job, better employment or what have you, I wouldn't even tell them when you're leaving. You can, I mean, as little as possible. Even if you have so-called friends that you work with, I would not share at all. That way they don't have to know, oh, this nigger got more nickels. So, sometimes racists and even sometimes other victims can be very vindictive in the workplace about a black person doing a little bit better for themselves on the plantation. Anywho, much obliged for sharing. Smokey, a.k.a. Mo in Dallas. I said that like you mess around and mention Friday on the workplace. If you want to, you will be Smokey Felicia for the rest of your career. I didn't even think about his whole catalog of films. So if you are a non-black, non-white person, you can be Jackie Chan for the rest of your career. You have to do scenes from Rush Hour for the rest of your time on that job. Any hoodles, I'll sneak in an email really quick as we proceed. untiljustice@gmail.com. Hi, Gus and Cal's audience. Gang. Before I took 2 weeks leave at the end of August, Phoebe requested to catch up with me under the guise of wanting to see how things were going. Tristan, my line manager, who is the same level as Phoebe, was on parental leave as his baby was unwell, and we didn't know when he would return. What she really wanted to do was put me back in my Negro place on behalf of the lying right-wing Ashley, who claimed that she does not feel safe with me. I knew right-wing Ashley made this statement because Zoe told me about it before she went on maternity leave. Right-wing Ashley claimed I came for her during a meeting and that my tone was inappropriate. Oh, we hate the inappropriately tuned Negra. And that she should have it out with me. The good thing is that Zoe, who was present, verified in writing to right-wing Ashley that what she claimed is not what she observed as the third person in the meeting. That's why Fuller recommends having a witness when possible. And that what was discussed during the meeting, right-wing Ashley's inappropriate actions that could have landed the company in court, and reputational damage, things she did without my knowledge and anyone giving her approval to do so. She also lied in the meeting and said that I told her to do it. Obviously, I corrected that nonsense. Zoe has been on the receiving end of right-wing Ashley's lies, so she knows I was telling the truth. And just like she told me, I know she also told Phoebe. Yet, Phoebe wanted to be the savior for right-wing Ashley. She started by saying that she knows right-wing Ashley and I have had a rocky relationship and a breakdown in our relationship. That was it for me. I asked her how she knew and why she was referring to right-wing Ashley's underperformance and inability to accept feedback as a relationship breakdown. I also questioned why she was making it an issue between me and right-wing Ashley when she has made similar claims when Zoe gave her feedback she didn't like. Tricky, treacherous, Phoebe then said, I didn't know that, did I? In other words, how much do I know about what Zoe told her? Dangerous. She continued to try to interrogate me about my interactions with right-wing Ashley, including what the atmosphere was like in the one-to-one meetings with right-wing Ashley. So I asked her what the purpose of the meeting was. She then apologized for making me uncomfortable and claimed she did not want to make me feel isolated. In other words, she wanted to keep an eye on me. Who told her I was feeling isolated, and what does that have to do with right-wing Ashley's claims? I brought the meeting to an end, but she also asked that I meet with the very posh white woman, I'll call her Isabel, who is right-wing Ashley's line manager, in a month's time to see how things are going. Zoe and I met regularly when she was line managing right-wing Ashley, so why would I need an instruction to meet with Isabel? Be very clear. The agenda is to manage me, put me in my place, and protect right-wing Ashley in a very refined, racist, white woman way. A week later, I was preparing to go on leave for 2 weeks and messaged right-wing Ashley about dealing with queries that would come in while we were both on leave, as she was also taking leave over the period. I asked for data on some projects, only to be told all were behind schedule, which was the first I was hearing of it. I asked her to ensure issues were flagged in good time and to draft a note for each project lead for me to review. The following day, Isabel summoned me to a meeting to discuss right-wing Ashley's goals and objectives before I go on leave. Tag teaming. I took a deep breath and considered whether to meet with her. She is not my manager. In fact, we are the same grade. And if I could maintain composure or wait until I returned from leave. I decided to meet with her, and to be honest, at that point I had had enough. Isabel started by welcoming me and asking how I was. I responded by calmly asking her why she wanted to discuss right-wing Ashley's objectives so urgently, given we were both going to be on leave. She gagged. After making excuses for right-wing Ashley being behind on the projects, she then got to the real reason for summoning me. She questioned me about the conflict between me and right-wing Ashley. I let her know that I'm not in conflict with right-wing Ashley, but she is underperforming. I asked her the basis of right-wing Ashley's claims. Her response was, she told her that she, Isabel, told right-wing Ashley that she didn't want to know the details, but that she'd note her concerns. When I asked Phoebe what right-wing Ashley was claiming I had done, Phoebe didn't answer me, and Isabel is claiming that she told her not to give her the details, which also means right-wing Ashley couldn't have provided any evidence to back up whatever it is that she's claiming. Yet both racist suspects were treating me as if I'm guilty. You are. You have offended a white woman. Guilty. I let Isabel know that I'm not in conflict with right-wing Ashley and that false allegations and damaging my professional reputation is not acceptable. And yes, I know white people don't think we have reputations to damage. Facts. But right-wing Ashley's claims are essentially accusing me of bullying or worse, which could lose me my job. Isabel's other assignment from Phoebe was to get me to back down. I did not. More to report on next week. That, I think, is so common when white people have violated policy and procedure, done something wrong. They will flip it around and make it so that it's some sort of you have just a personal problem with this white woman, or you all are having some sort of personal little petty feud, as opposed to, no, this white woman, as she said, is underperforming. She's not even doing her job. It's not personal. It's not that I like her, dislike her. That, is totally irrelevant to, she just doesn't complete assignments, period. We could be best friends. It would still be, man, my bestest homie in the office for life, doesn't complete assignments. I wonder if there's anything we can do to help her out with that so she doesn't get fired. That's all the difference would be. And even still, that's the way we're going to have to see if we can do this. Maybe we can get her some help so we can get these assignments done so she doesn't get fired. Any hoodles, but watch out for that one in the work, because if this had been someone classified as black, not doing work, consistently missing deadlines, it wouldn't be, you just got a personal vendetta with Lakeisha. No, Lakeisha is lazy and incompetent, and we're going to get out of here. That's what it would be. Taking it personally, taking a tone. She said, you've taken a tone with me. Lord, come on. Come on. The email untiljustice@gmail.com. The number 720-716-7300. The code 564943 pound. Press star 61 if you would like to participate. Jackie Chan. I would like to hope, but I mean, hey, you're in the workplace and you're not really thinking, and people come, because that's the other thing too. So many times you're in the workplace, you're just kind of in your own world, focused, and boom, get this done, boom, boom, get that done. Okay, then I got to go down, have that meeting, 10 o'clock. I mean, you just, task oriented, trying to get this money, hope I get this raise. And then somebody come up with, hey, you know about Jackie Chan? Like, what? Yeah, like what? And then they, you're halfway into it before, like, Jesus Christ, do not come talking about no niggas and whatever and Chris Tucker and me, man. Like, get out of here. Like, I would, in my ignorant way, I would like to imagine maybe that I'd be so cool. They come through, hey, Gusty, you know about Jackie Chan? Like, I'm working, man, I'm working. I would like to imagine that, yes, on my best day, maybe, but please. That again, that's why I say, hey, just focus on the job. Just focus on the job. Tackiness will abound even there. Just trying to get your raise. The tackiness will abound. But oh man, once we get away from the workplace, you cannot imagine. Context of white supremacy. Let's see. One, we will be here Friday, finishing the sins of the mother, all about Susan Smith lying on privileged black people, black males in South Carolina. We'll wrap all that up tomorrow, same time, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. Compensatory call-in this Saturday. Catch up on what has transpired the last 7 days or so on the plantation. And then as we move into full force autumn, full force of the holiday horror day season as well. But next 2 days, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific, both days. Tune in. More clean literature in terms of it's sanitary, at least, for the Catherine Massey Book Club on Friday. Any noodles. Let's see. We have other folks. If you looked up the images to see what you think about Stephanie, however you Chiriku, that's how you say it, Stephanie Chiriku, if you got to see if she's white or non-white, and or even that, what shall I call it, tidying in the workplace, non-white people ending up directly, indirectly being tasked with tidying things in the office area or work area. If you've seen that, if you've experienced that, was it something you did voluntarily, kind of like what we heard Mo in Dallas, or were you, like, white people told you directly, indirectly to do this or else? Or maybe even constructively, do this and we'll hook you up. We'll give you an extra $100 at the end of the week. But has anyone else, have they experienced, heard of this? The black person ends up being the kind of extra custodial staff, if you will, for the office area? You can let us know that one as well. See, our caller in Florida should be with us as well.
Yes, sir. May I be heard?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Greetings to Gus, the host, the listeners, and callers. Gus, I was thinking about where there's a black male who is the court director, and sometimes he's asked to, I guess, do the Iron Mountain bin for the paperwork that gets discarded from different cases and how they use the copy machine. Sometimes he's asked to do that, and if it isn't him, then a white guy is asked to do it. But even that white guy will say to him sometimes, like, well, you know, I'm just going to take some time off, and almost like he doesn't even have to fill out a timesheet or anything almost. But it seems like the black guy is doing the bin part with the paperwork for the most part. I wanted to share two different reports. The first report is there is a new employee. I think she has a white parent and a non-white parent. And Gus, they still have been trying to, if not trying to offer this non-white female, and see, it'll either be banana bread or banana muffin. They use the word banana, and the female will say, well, you know, I haven't really tried it before, but I'll try it. You know, kind of young person. And today she had a black customer, and the racist suspect, white woman, she made a comment to the black customer saying, well, you know, since she's new, we just have to bully her. That's the comment she made. And they like to always say, or a lot of the time say, I'm just joking. And another white woman came and put this Halloween tree on the desk, the assigned desk of the non-white female. And if it isn't that, then it's something with a ghost or something that says boo or something like that. And the white woman that loves these gnomes so much, she's also adding the ghost with the white sheet, covered in a white sheet. So I began to see that a particular way. And there have been even a white woman come in there to try to act flirtatious with me, with the white husband seated next to her. And they said, oh, you know, I've been married for 40 years and we're trying to look up these dates of the marriages and divorces to fill out this paperwork for the VA and all of that. So, and her happiness of me finding these dates, I guess she didn't think that I would find it so fast. She starts doing these little gestures, like blowing kisses to me in front of her husband or whatever. So I just go back to where I was seated, and I go to look for the next divorce date or whatever. So the guy just sitting there like, well, I'm just waiting for these dates or whatever. So I go and write down the dates, and I go and hand them to her because she seemed to be doing all of the talking. All right. So she was seated behind one of the tables in the research area. So that was a white woman customer that came in earlier this week. And one last report I like to share is another white woman came and interrupted a black female victim. Cause I believe I shared it, but my line might have went out. But she, I think, collaborated or like connected with another white woman or two or three about this dress code thing. And while she was about to be reported about that, she shared something I think was racist or an act of racism about the child going to take a photo, the picture day. And she said the white kid stuck his lips in a Gatorade bottle because see the victim didn't even want the white woman to sit down. Like, I don't even really want you here. And then she said, oh, I'm just kidding, but she really wasn't. But she pulled up the phone, and it's this white kid on the screen with his lips puckered out, okay, ready for picture day. And she was saying, well, maybe his lips will be deflated by the end of the day. And I asked her, deflated? So she ain't respond to my question. So I thought that was practicing racism. And other than that, that's all I have to share. Thanks for allowing me to speak. Oh, and just one last thing, Gus. Someone in another department was wearing FAMU Rattlers T-shirt, and I bet the white woman would be upset about that. And that's it.
Go Rattlers. Was it a white person or a non-white person?
It looks like she was a non-white person.
Oh, she's going to be... What is going on? Y'all are practicing racism against, because she was making the soap too, unless my memory is bad, which it could be. But man, y'all, you white woman come in here and I show my pride for the HBCUs, and you gonna tell me I gotta take my shirt off and we got rules and regular, and then you gonna let this colored gal walk? She's gonna be hot. But she had been wearing hers anyway. I thought he said she had been wearing it anyway. So I mean, she doesn't follow the rules anyway. So whatever.
That's true.
She just said, "See, I'm gonna wear it tomorrow. See, you gonna let the colored gal wear her? I'm gonna wear mine tomorrow. And matter of fact, I'm gonna break all of them out. I wear one every day next week." Let's see. He said the young lady, black female, younger, I guess, not in her 50s and such, but she started working there, and he said that they were, oh, come on, little honey child, we got a little banana bread for you. Oh, we got banana muffins. Now, we had talked about this before because they had these wacky banana donuts that I was, like, what the world? I've never even heard of as such. He said they had banana donuts. We're going, come on to the black people, you got banana donuts. And he said even, I think some other people like, what? Banana? Like, man, y'all are, And I was like, wow, I wasn't even, I guess because I was more tripped out just like banana donut. Like, what is that? I've never even, Epicurean in me got me. Anyway. So now this time around, I got it. They caught me up. So they got banana come to the black. One, I keep saying, no food. Even if they had come say, hey, man, we got vegan banana pudding. Get out of here. Hopefully, young lady has a job. She has a refrigerator full of healthy victuals so she can eat as much as she wants, or as much as, healthy. But she's not in need of any food. I'm not going to starve if y'all don't give me banana bread or whatever, banana muffin. But the banana, come on. Keep your sly gorilla joke. And see, they always got to get back to the gorilla. See, they're talking about the monkeys. And come on. Come on. I don't need nothing to eat, particularly when y'all are like forcing it. Like, nah, you don't need to force feed me. I'm fine. Have you really thought I was starving? You give me some food stamps, EBT, right? Come on. Come on. Come on. And another illustration, if you're a black person, you're not in the workplace to eat. And this for sure for the holiday season, like no potlucks, Thanksgiving, Christmas, not even doing Halloween treats. None of that. I'm good. No Godiva chocolate, none of it. He said they get the tackiness in the workplace. Said, talking about the new person. She's new, see, we just have to bully her. Joke, see, and they'll do a lot of that sort of thing. Say something that they know is not appropriate or professional for the workplace. Oh, I'm just joking. Just lol. Come on, why are we bullying anybody? Y'all walking around with FAMU shirts on. I said that then. Weren't they known for the hazing scandal and got a black person die and all of that? No, we don't need no hazing. We don't need to bully nobody in the workplace or beyond. Let's be courteous and respectful to everybody. Let's see. Professional. Can't say that. Let's be courteous and professional. Then they went and put the Halloween treat on the non-white female's desk. And I just said, we're right on the holiday scene, and they didn't even wait. It's October 2nd, man. We barely out of September, man. Isn't there something before then? I think like Veterans Day or something. It's like, I have to get the calendar in front of me to see, but I think it's things that happen before, like the 31st. Columbus, that's it. Like, we got other things before we even get to Halloween. And come on. You don't need to mess my teeth up and put no Snicker bars and none of that old nonsense. Come on. I'm good. Like I said, I would have all my excuses already down pat. I'm on a diet. I'm vegan. I'm gluten-free. I'm diabetic. Like, you just run. I gained all that weight last year. Get that out of here. Don't put none of that mess, that poison on my desk for the rest of the year. I'm not eating none of it. Fasting. See, they got he said the white couple came in for the information, and the white woman started flirting, blowing kisses at him. Like, Jesus Christ. Like, I mean, one, he said that her husband was there. Like, come on. We're in the land of the Florida cracker. Like, you trying to get me killed. I did not do, let's be professional. You got the information. Let me hurry up and get whatever information you're supposed to have and get you all out of here. Like, good gosh. And what if some other white people see this that I work with? Them mess around and press the panic button, think I'm up here flirting with a white woman. No. I'm trying to get these documents so we can get her out of here. Like, man, that's another one. Real talk. I would want a witness. Like, I did not do anything. I did not ask for no phone number. I was not flirting with this white woman. I was professionally doing my job. Up here acting. Come on, man. Come on. Let's see. And all that he said that they got the picture, the white child, and she said, "Oh my goodness, his lips looks like he put him in a Gatorade bottle." Like, what? What? Like, what? Okay. And then she said, "Well, hopefully they'll deflate by the end of the day." What? What? And he said she just kind of went on like, she didn't say anything with like, what do you mean deflate? What? And she just went on about, I didn't say nothing. Put that down again. White people are not ignorant about racism, and it's such a long, like, centuries of white people explicitly making those sorts of comments about the lips of black people. And so I have no idea what is the same thing I keep coming back to. Like, what does any of this even have to do with like the workplace? Because was this one of the passport photos? Did you say?
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
I was across the hall in the civil front counter area, and I was speaking to a victim of racism. And this white woman walked over while me and another black person and a third black person and said, or asked the black person, "Oh, you didn't invite me to the party?" And the black person said, "No, because I didn't want you here." And they said, "Oh, I'm just kidding." And then it went into that conversation about her white child. So that was like the context.
That sounds like some more
aggressive.
My fault. You said she was aggressive.
The white person.
More tackiness in the whole exchange about is she going to be invited to the party and all of that. And then so she's discussing her white child in this. That's exactly what I said. That's exactly what I said. Like, anytime it hops away from the workplace, because I was thinking, like, why are we even talking about this? What does this have to do with the courthouse? Like, what would even be the context for bringing this up to get to such subject matter? Like, we should be talking about passport photos and, getting interested. What do we do if patrons come to the courthouse and start flirting with you? Like, do they have that on code? Like, I don't know if that's panic button, but like, if Leroy had been up there and it had been a white woman and Leroy thought she did expeditious work, and the man, and he commenced the wolf whistling, I don't know. Maybe they would hit the panic button. I certainly don't think that would have been, tolerable. Like, wow, that's great. That's that Leroy really appreciates his public servants. I don't think that would have been the response. That is wacky. That is wild. I'm glad he at least did ask the question on that one. Like, what do you mean deflate? And he said the aggressive white, when she didn't get aggressive, then she didn't have a whole lot to say when asked. What do you mean deflate? Deflate. Long history, white people talking about black people's lips in that manner being overinflated and such, tires and such, and then they go and get liposuction and all the rest of it. Lies and hypocrisy through and through. Dare I say, Pamela Evans Harris, the beauty con game. Anywho, we will be here on Friday, wrapping it all up. Sins of the mother lying white wench Susan Smith. The trial, all that, how she avoided the death penalty, which she sure should have received. But that's tomorrow, same time, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. And then Saturday, compensatory call-in, 8 p.m. Eastern, 5 p.m. Pacific. Much obliged for all the folks who tuned in, hopefully worthy of your Thursday evening. Sobriety would be best. Man, we need high-functioning brain computers to solve the problem. Creator, we ask that you remind us to stop saying not all white people are racist. Stop wasting non-white people's time and energy. Remind us to maximize our time and energy to replace white supremacy with justice immediately. Stop name-calling people classified as black. Stop gossiping. Stop producing throwaway offspring. It has been time. Replace white supremacy with justice immediately. Cow signing out. Thanks all for tuning in.
Nigga, you so brainwashed. I'm a victim, brother. Problem. You're a victim. Man, I'm a victim of 400 years of conditioning. Shut up. The man has programmed my conditioning. Even my conditioning has been conditioned.